All right. I think we are live. What is going on, everybody? This is Rand Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with the Xbox 2 podcast on a Friday, which is awesome. And as always, I am joined by my friendo, my uwu, Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. Sorry to everyone about last week. We'll get into that in a minute. But yes, we are back on a Friday for another glorious Xbox 2 podcast. And uniquely, Rand, we are an hour closer than usual thanks to a strange daylight savings time anomaly in which this week, for 1 week out of the year, well, I suppose there's another one in spring, right? But for a couple of weeks out of the year, America and England are 1 hour closer together. So this is very early for me. This is the first time in ages we're podcasting at 7 p.m. UK time, but it's the same time as usual for America, right?
Yes.
But yeah, we're here, we're live, we're ready to rock. And how have you been, man?
I've been. I mean, how does it feel to podcast at an actual decent time? Because people don't know what you have to give up to do the show. Like, we do it 2 p.m. my time, sometimes 3 p.m., but it's like really late for you in Germany and the UK. You're usually doing this stuff really late. How does it feel podcasting at a normal 7 p.m., you know?
Oh my God, it feels awesome. It feels awesome podcasting at 7. Like, but it's you know, that's the problem when we're podcasting from across the world and stuff like that. We just have to deal with it and accept it, right? But it's fine. It is what it is, as the kids say, and the kids meaning me, because that's what I always say.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've been doing pretty good, but you really haven't been. Like, can you explain to the listeners like what's going on with you? Because, you know, sometimes I get a little worried about you. You know, you talk about the medical stuff that you're going through, and you know.
Yeah. So like, I've people who listen to the show, they probably know and they probably remember that I've been dealing with these like stomach problems on and off for the last, well, it's been over a year now. Stomach problems, stuff like that. Loads of pain every now and then, whatever. But this year, it was all right last year again. But this year, it came back with a vengeance. Like, my stomach has been really bad the last few months. And I've been trying to get it sorted out. I've been seeing like loads of different doctors and having all sorts of tests. And finally, might have a diagnosis now. Had to miss the show last week because I was having tests done. But I had an ultrasound thing, which is, you know, what they do to check for pregnancies usually. But they were ultrasounding me to see if I had any anomalies in my stomach. And indeed, lo and behold, my gallbladder is full of crystallized lumps of cholesterol, I think. Otherwise known as gallstones. So I have like a ton of gallstones in my stomach, and that's probably been causing my pain and probably been causing all my problems and stuff like that. And they basically said later this month I'll have another consultation and they'll decide what they're going to do, which probably means they're going to have to take my gallbladder out with and stuff like that. They said you've probably had these for a long time because they're quite big, but the fact that I lost 90 pounds this year probably made it worse. So, like, ironically, trying to lose weight to get healthier actually made my gallstone problems worse. So, but light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and hopefully, like, you know, soon I won't miss as many shows because I won't need to have tests and all that stuff, and that will be over with, and everything will be hunky dory and back to normal. That's what I hope. So, yeah. That's where I was, but it's all sorted now, for now, anyway.
I mean, I hope you get everything situated. I know our podcast schedule can be a little bit fluid from time to time. You know, some people, you know, I hear the complaints about it, but, you know, with the time difference between me and Jez and what Jez is going through, sometimes just can't do the show on Friday. So we try to do it we always try to do the show, at least whether it's Friday, we always have the backup on Saturday. And last week, Jez, you were just busy. You had the doctors on Friday, and then you had family over Saturday. And we could have done it on Sunday, but I didn't like to step on people's feet. Like, I know ILP has their show on Sunday, and so does Weapon Wheel, and so does my good buddy Fonzarelli. He does his podcast, Games Talk Live, and I don't like stepping on other people's toes. So usually it's like if we can't do it Friday and Saturday, that's it. We're gonna have to kind of just skip the week. But we have a lot to talk about now because of it. There's this podcast might be one of the long ones. You never know, right? So, but I'm glad you're at least you're kind of getting to the root of the problem. Right now, what the problem is, because for a long time you weren't really sure. So, that's good.
I was worried, man, because I've had all sorts of weird symptoms, like changing month by month. There's like a new set of symptoms, and I'm like, well, it's because you're full of stones. Those stones are not meant to be there. It's Mac Way says in chat, it's hardened mayonnaise. Yeah, it probably is.
It probably
is hardened mayonnaise. But it's. You get older, your health starts falling apart, and I'm starting to take it a bit more seriously now. And lost 90 pounds, and I'm gonna lose another 50 or so pounds, and then start hitting the gym. I'm gonna get buff, Rand. I'm gonna get buff. I'm gonna become the buffest Xbox podcaster on the circuit.
Well, I mean, I would love to see that. We got a great show, right? We got so many topics from last week for this week. We have the truth about the Xbox and Sega deal, right? So many people out there saying it means absolutely nothing. And just to tease it, Jez, does it mean absolutely nothing, or is this the first step to stuff that is going to be quite significant? Just tease the audience a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big deal, I think it's going to be a bigger deal than a lot of people realize. And especially at the outset, I was kind of like, is it really a big deal? But I spoke to some people and did some digging, and we're gonna have something.
It's gonna be interesting because I think a lot of people who said it was going to be nothing, we'll talk. Like there's stuff behind it that those people might be taking back their words. But we got a lot of stuff here to talk about, Forza Horizon 5 and everything. But Jez, we have a new, not a new sponsor, but we're sponsored again.
Oh yeah! Wow, it's a good job you mentioned that because I almost forgot.
So
that's not what you want to do when you've got a sponsor. But do you want me to drop the sponsorship message?
Yeah, go ahead. You got, everybody wants to hear the American accent read for.
Shall I do it American again, or do you want British? We'll do American, man. Yeah,
we'll do the American accent this time.
We'll go with an American accent. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us once again on the Xbox 2 podcast, and I'd like to humbly announce that once again we have an epic sponsor from Manscaped. Do you know how Forza Horizon 5 managed to grab the 2021's highest video game industry Metacritic rating? We can only assume that the entire staff were equipped with Manscaped grooming products. That's right. Once again, the Xbox 2 podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. Time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 is the best in the business and a great gift set for everyone in your family. Well, those who have balls, I guess. This hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker nose trimmer, epic Manscaped boxers, travel bag, and liquid formulas. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Xbox2 at, let me try again. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code XB2 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And, also, I should probably add a disclaimer. Claims by Xbox staff using Manscaped products may or may not be true, Rand. But we think they definitely should, so... That's the sponsorship message. If you drop the code XB2, that's like the XB and the number 2 at manscaped.com, you get 20% off, you get free shipping, and there's a huge range of great products there you can check out. They sent me some more products to check out, Rand, and they're pretty damn good. I gotta say, I got some Manscaped cologne from them recently, and I smell delicious.
Is that what your girlfriend says? Does she love the fact that you're using Manscaped products, Jez? Is this?
Well, unfortunately for my girlfirend, I haven't been back to Germany.
Oh, she doesn't know you. She's going to see it.
Yeah, she doesn't know the treat she's in for. So, yeah. So that's Manscaped. Thanks very much to Manscaped for sponsoring the podcast. And the extra support will probably help me and Rand step up to the next level. Maybe we can persuade Rand to buy a webcam with all the epic sponsorship money, and maybe, who knows, maybe next year we'll start going on camera as well.
Yeah.
But we won't show the Manscaped products on camera with a live demonstration. Don't worry, guys. We're not going to go that far.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys. I love that ad read. I love the whole Manscaped thing. Just makes me just. I could hear you when you're reading that, just like laughing. So that's funny. But
I should have practiced this a bit.
You should have. But
next time I will.
But
I'll do it in a British accent.
But honestly, like, it's awesome to be sponsored by companies, but we wouldn't be in this position without you guys. You guys make the show what it is. You guys are the ones who tune in every single week and make it one of the biggest Xbox podcasts around. So, me and Jez have nobody to thank but basically you guys. So we appreciate everyone being here and always listening and enjoying, everything we talk about. So we got a super chat here from Alexander Dark, who says, Jez, you got to step up those leaks. Jeff Grubb is out here leaking stuff every week. You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. P.S. Get well soon. Do people forget the stuff that you like? It's like an ongoing battle between you and Jeff Grubb. This week, you're talking about. I don't know which one of you leaked Project Shaolin, the Wu-Tang game first. I think you talked about it in July. He gave more info. And then you talked about Project Belfry, but then he gave more info. He talked about Josh Sawyer's game, but maybe today you're going to drop more info about. What? It seems like a battle between you two. You got any more things to?
The battle of the leaks.
Mm-hmm.
I've still got tons of stuff, hiding there in the back. Don't you worry, guys. Don't worry about me. Don't you guys worry. We got more stuff where that came from. But yeah, it is a little bit funny, but also a little bit mean. Like, I don't want to leak everything because, like, what'll be left over for surprises. So, maybe me and Jeff can agree to a leaking armistice or something. But yeah, there's tons of stuff going on at Xbox, and I suppose because like that's such a big company, it's a little bit hard to keep things. I don't know what you call it. Keep a lid on things sometimes. I don't know, but we'll see.
You need to get the Bethesda info. That's the thing that's missing. You got all this information about Xbox Game Studios and Xbox Global Publishing. You can paint a picture of basically everything they're doing, but we're blinded. We don't know Bethesda, Jez. You need to get that.
Yeah, true. I don't have much about Bethesda, admittedly, but that's the crazy thing, right? Like, I've got so much stuff in sort of like in the, I don't know what you call it, in the arsenal with regards to leaks about Xbox, but I know next to nothing about ZeniMax. So just think of all the stuff we know about that's coming on the Xbox side, with its Project Dragon or Indus or Cobalt or whatever, and then just think about how much stuff Bethesda's got in the works, because a lot of those companies are multi-studio companies as well, right? So they've got to have like multiple projects clocking off at the same time. So yeah. I don't know. It's a cool time to be an Xbox fan.
It is. Jacqueline says, hey, good evening, gents. Rand, how about a quick rundown on your recent reads? Also, have you tried Joe Abercrombie yet? I have not tried Joe Abercrombie, but I am probably going to buy the first Law Trilogy, I believe is his book series. So really quickly, I finished The Wheel of Time. I'm waiting for the 19th for the show to actually begin. I also bought all the books in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Haven't read them yet. I did read the first Mistborn trilogy, which I really liked, and I'm currently reading through right now the Robin Hobb's Elderlings saga with Fitz Farseer, who's a book a series I'd read previously, but I didn't finish. So that's basically where I'm at with my reading now. But yeah, loving it, because I usually will play and then I'll read for a little bit. So Flame says, hey Jez, I hope you feel better soon. Who will run the Xbox 2 without you? But anyways, have a great show, fellas. Gonna vroom vroom in Mexico now. Yeah, that's right. If you were to step away from Xbox 2, I don't even know if I could still do the show anymore. It would have to just end. You know what I mean?
I would never. I will never. I'll do this show till I'm dead in the ground. And like, can you imagine if we're like, like 60, 70, 80 years old doing this. Well, I suppose that's not too far away for you, but
Yeah.
it's fun to think about for me
Yeah.
because I'm so young and sprightly.
And thank you to CR Wimpy for the $20 super chat, but with no message. Yeah, we appreciate everyone being here on Friday. It's good to be here on a Friday. Robert says, thank you for the great discount with your sponsor. My junk looks so good, I can't call it junk anymore. Oh, geez. Ashes to Ashes says, hoping for a quick recovery, Jez, as we need you around for the long haul. Looking forward to another great show, as there's a ton happening right now. There definitely is a ton happening. And we got one in from Adam who says, hey guys, is it a year that Microsoft gets a couple of Game of the Year contenders for the Game Awards? Also, do you think Forza has a chance to be in the Game of the Year? So that was a topic I kind of had, but we can talk about it now, Jez, because we were talking about it pre-show.
Sure.
Where we were talking, and I guess we'll just say, so the reviews are out for Forza Horizon. I'm sure everybody here knows, right? They're out. And it's the highest rated AAA game of the year. In fact, I think it might be just the highest rated game, period, come out this year. It's a 91 on Metacritic. I don't think it'll drop any lower. Maybe it drops to 90. Maybe it goes up to 92, but it's right there. It's higher than pretty much everything. And I told you that I felt, not that I wouldn't put Forza Horizon in my top 5 games of the year, but when you think about the Keeleys, right, which everybody kind of views as, the video game industry's game awards, trying to think who the media would vote for, I don't think the media would put Forza Horizon 5 up for Game of the Year. I think it'll be in its category for racing sports, and it'll win that. But I don't think the media would put Forza Horizon 5 as a contender for Game of the Year. And you kind of said that was at least bullshit when we were talking. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with me? Do you think, or do you think a little bit differently?
I think it's video game journalists are supposed to be professional. They should look past the fact that a game doesn't have a story and think about how does this play? How does it flow? Look at the technical aspects of it, the performance, the graphics, gameplay, all that kind of stuff. I don't think just because a game doesn't have a deep, mature story doesn't mean it's not deserving of Game of the Year award. I think a lot of games journalists, in my opinion, they hope and they wish on some level that their profession, being a games media, would be as respected as being a movie journalist, right? Because if you're a movie reviewer, you get a TV show, you get a load of respect, you get to go to the Oscars and stuff like that. If you're a video game reviewer, you're basically the scum of the earth, right? You are the bottom rung of journalism. If you're a video game reviewer, you are at the bottom of the pile when it comes to journalism. So a lot of them, I think you know what? I'm only gonna rate games that come as close as possible to a Hollywood movie, because that's all they can think of in terms of criticism. They look at what movie criticism is doing, and they think, man, I think games should be like this, so people will respect my profession more. But I think that is utter bullshit. I think video games are a completely different medium to movies. They can make you feel emotional like a movie, but not every game has to serve the same purpose as a movie. And I think Forza exemplifies that, and Forza definitely at least deserves to be nominated. It wouldn't be I'm not a racing game fan, but analytically, just looking at Forza, how can you deny that it's one of the best games that launched this year? You just can't deny it. And thankfully, Metacritic gives us some empirical evidence as such, right? So that's my take, Rand. That's my rant about such things. I never got into this profession thinking I want to be a respected professional, blah blah blah. I just love video games at the end of the day. I don't give a crap about, being video game journalism being respected or whatever. Obviously, I want to be a good journalist and and that kind of stuff, but I don't care about, feeling like my profession is on the same level as other types of journalism. It's not. I'm not going into a war zone with a flak jacket on and risking my life to bring people important news. I'm not breaking, political corruption stories and risking my life. I'm literally writing about video games, and I think people need to put the fun back into video games when they come to criticizing it to some degree. If every game has to be dark and serious to have like a good review score, I think there's something desperately wrong with the way.
It's not that. I just think reviewers can see that Forza Horizon 5 is an objectively a phenomenal game, which is why you see the reviews that you get. But when they talk about their favorite game of the year or a game that's up for game of the year contender, they overlook it and they'll say to themselves, it's just a racing game. How can a racing game be game of the year when you have something like Psychonauts or Deathloop or Returnal or whatever else, right? These games that actually have some resemblance of a narrative or a story. So I would love to see Forza Horizon nominated for Game of the Year. I think it's one of the best games of the year, like in my top 3. But I don't think it will, because when I look at the Game of the Year, if there's 6 nominees and the media votes for the nominees, I think you're going to see Psychonauts 2 nominated. I think you'll see Deathloop nominated. I think you'll see Metroid Dread nominated. So that's 3 of the 6. And then
I don't think Metroid Dread deserves to be nominated at all.
Well, it's going to be. It's Nintendo, and it's almost as highly rated as Forza. So
well, that's nostalgic. That's nostalgia.
I'm just saying it's going to be nominated. Returnal's going to be nominated. Ratchet and Clank was going to be nominated. So there's your 5 games plus, throw in indie nomination, whether it's for Death's Door or whether it's for It Takes Two or something like that. Those would be your nominations.
Well, that's the problem, though. The fact that you can predict that so easily, that is the problem.
It's not that you can predict it. It's just that you know that these media outlets vote on it. You can look at what the media outlets voted and how they rated certain games, and then you can be like, well, these are the games that I think those media outlets who already rated these games really highly are going to put in their ballots for Game of the Year. It's not really that complicated.
Yeah, I know, but it's just funny. Like the I don't know what you call it. The delta, the difference between what will get a high rating with the media is, and what actually constitutes a good video game. There's like a gap there, And how do you solve that gap? Like, even game publishers know it too. They're like they make a game they want to make that they think is fun, but they know the media is not going to rate it highly because it doesn't hit those key things that the media like, which is dark narrative, whatever, movie style, cinematic Hollywood, blah blah blah. Because they only think in terms of Hollywood. They're chasing that sort of framework for criticism of a game, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair. But that's enough about that. I don't know.
Yeah. IR Reverend Gun says, got my first OLED LG C1, absolutely blown away. Finally able to leverage all the power of my Series X. PS, love the show. Thank you for the support. Enjoy that LG C1. I did see that those are on sale right now at Amazon. They're selling the 48-inch LG C1 for $1,000.
That's a lot of dollars.
It is, but it's also pretty damn cheap. I believe the 65-inch is going for like $1,800, which is such an amazing price, and the 77-inch is going for like $2,700, which is ridiculous considering I paid like $2,400 for a 65-inch last year.
How much?
$2,400, I think it was.
Yeah,
$2,200.
I've never paid more than £700 for a TV, but I've paid like over $1,500 for a phone. So maybe my priorities are wrong.
Yeah, your priorities are definitely all wrong, right? You should definitely. No, so if anybody's on the market for holiday for new TV, you should probably go to Amazon and check it out. I was even considering buying the 48 to use as a new computer monitor because, I haven't really upgraded my computer setup, but I was like, hey, I could use this 48-inch one as a computer monitor, but I don't know about that. AXN says, it's very difficult for me to catch you live, but so this time I wanted to say thank you for all hours of entertainment. Cheers from Italy. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Italy, huh? That's pretty damn amazing. Does the Straight Duval ask, does the 48-inch have 120 support? It does have 120 support. It's HDMI 2.1, I believe. So I think all the information's there on the Amazon page, but if you're in the market for a new TV, you might want to go check that out. So Jez, what have you been playing, man? What have you been playing?
I've been playing quite a lot this week. Because I've been ill. Some days I've been in so much pain that I haven't been able to work. So I've been sort of like just playing games and lying in bed, feeling sorry for myself, basically. So I've been playing Metroid Dread. You mentioned that it's probably going to be nominated for Game of the Year. I really love the game, but I can't help but think like how much of this is nostalgia. Like it doesn't feel like a significant step up for me from the games like Shadow Complex. It doesn't really do anything vastly different for the Metroidvania formula. And also, Ran, I find it to be quite linear. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes you exactly where you need to go with that teleport system, and I kind of don't want that from a Metroidvania. I want to backtrack and stuff. I want to go back to areas. I want to have to go back through areas I've been through to get secrets and stuff. But if the game's constantly letting me just teleport to where I need to go, that kind of undermines the point of a Metroidvania for me. But that being said, I haven't played a Metroid game since Super Metroid, and I have a lot of love for that franchise because I played Super Metroid when I was in hospital, when I was a little kid, and I had sepsis. And I was in hospital for weeks, and all I did was play Super Metroid and Star Fox and Mario and stuff in hospital. So I've got a lot of love for that franchise, but I don't think it does anything spectacularly new for the genre, but whatever. Also, I've been playing Call of Duty Vanguard because my game share buddy bought it. I was pretty scathing about it before, and it's still, they haven't done a huge amount to improve my opinion of the game since the beta 3 weeks ago. Have you tried it at all? Call of Duty Vanguard?
I've not played it yet. I wasn't going to play it, and then suddenly my GameShare partner texted me today, just bought Vanguard, so now I have Vanguard.
That's how I got it. So it's just silly seeing like laser dot sights in World War II setting and stuff. And like my feelings on it are, if you're doing an alternative World War II history, go all in on it like Wolfenstein do. Don't just like use it as an excuse to reskin your unlocks and stuff. Either do World War II properly or go all in on the sci-fi World War II like Wolfenstein. This just feels half-assed. Like the UI is the same as Black Ops Cold War. Like everything's basically the same. It's just a reskin. And I think Call of Duty is getting to a point where it's just becoming so blatant year in, year out that they're just half-assing it every year. But at the same time, as long as people keep buying it, like my GameShare buddy, it's still going to sell and they're still going to use the business model that way. So maybe I'm just, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but that's Call of Duty Vanguard for me so far. Also, I've been playing, I played a bit of Forza, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge racing game guy, but I really have enjoyed like just checking out Forza just for the technical stuff. I don't think I'm going to stick with Forza because like I say, I'm not a big racing game fan. I'm just not for whatever reason. But I just love like the graphics, the way the game feels. You can just feel how much love has gone into that game. When you play like Call of Duty, which is like a reskin, and then you play Forza Horizon, which is like, you can just feel how much love and attention to detail has gone into building that open world. It's crazy. So, this was on a 2-year dev cycle, right?
No, this is on 3 years. Well, Horizon 5? 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Well, it kind of shows, right? I wish more devs that are making these kind of franchises would be allowed to go longer on them, I guess. I often wonder what would it be like if Call of Duty was on a 2-year franchise, a 2-year sort of cycle instead of like crapping out a reskin every year.
At one point,
I know there's a load of studios working on it, but
at one point they were shifting. It was they were doing it every 3 years. Like Sledgehammer would do 2017, and then 2018 would be Treyarch, and then 2019 would be Infinity Ward, right? So then Sledgehammer would come back in 2020. So each studio would technically have 3 years to make their game, but then last year screwed everything up. Like Treyarch had like come in and like salvage that game, and then because of that, like Sledgehammer didn't have a lot of time to make this game. So like, yeah, it was just kind of, you can kind of tell like the hype around this Call of Duty was definitely way more muted than previous ones. So Legendary Nick says, hey, Overwatch won Game of the Year with no story. That's true. Overwatch did win 2016. I think more
2016 kind of anemic for game release.
Yeah, and also like at that time, like, you know, hero shooters were just coming into their own, and Overwatch, it was like, and people still love Blizzard at that point in time. Unlike now where yeah, well, you know, poor Blizzard, right? They just can't do anything right. And I remember that was a big, people weren't happy with that because it won over Uncharted 4. And a couple other games as well. So like, yeah, people were like, well, Overwatch, how could Overwatch win and it doesn't have a story? And then we sit here and say Forza is not going to be nominated. It's like, I think Forza should be nominated for Game of the Year. I just think the outlets aren't going to nominate it. I would love to be wrong though, because I do think Playground Games should be, you know, recognized for the hard work they're like the most consistent devs out there. Like, look at their track record. Their last 3 games, like 90, 91 on Metacritic, 92, 91. Like, you know, like it speaks for itself, right? So Osman says, cheers lads, great show, looking forward to side swiping your Drivatar in Forza Horizon. Jez says my Drivatar is pretty bad. So
yeah, your Drivatar was like at the back when I was racing earlier. Which I thought was funny. Drivatars are really cool. Like seeing all your friends driving around with you and stuff. I think I like. As
O says, oh no, Rand uses rewind on Forza. Sometimes I try not to use rewind, but if I screw up badly enough, I will use it. Like, I'm not like.
Oh wait, are you not supposed to use rewind?
Well, some people say you aren't supposed to if you're like a true racer. You know, it's a crutch or whatever. But like, I'm not racing on like the hardest difficulty or whatever. Like, I play Forza to have fun, and you know what's not fun to me? When you get to the end of the race and you hit something and you screw up and you lose. So that's, you know, that's when I use rewind. I try not to use it that much, but I do use it when I have to. Jacqueline Brandt says, gentlemen, does the Sega Alliance put the nail in the coffin on anything happening with Warner Brothers? I feel before this gen is over that this will lead to bringing Sega into the family. So does this kill any WB talk going forward? What do you think, Jez?
I don't think so. Microsoft's goal, they're looking at Tencent right now as their main sort of competition in terms of footprint. And when I say footprint, what I mean is like engagement and stuff. So Tencent is League of Legends, some of the biggest mobile games in the world, stuff like that. Huge in Asia, obviously, which does help them because American companies, you know, are kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of at a disadvantage in China because of all the regulation. So Microsoft has its work cut out. If it wants to like compete with the cash flow of Tencent, they really they need to make these kind of deals to grow its sort of service platform, which is, you know, Xbox Game Pass. Tencent does this by buying minority stakes in companies that have like service games. So even games like Path of Exile, Fortnite, whatever, Tencent has like a minority share in all of those games, and that helps them, like, it counts towards their KPIs, which are, you know, engagement and stuff like that. So I don't think Microsoft doing this kind of deal with Sega has any bearing on what they could do with Warner Brothers potentially, because all of Microsoft's investments right now are going towards partnering with studios, buying studios, getting more content for Game Pass, whatever. I'm sure Microsoft, in a perfect world for Microsoft, they would have the Sega deal with every company. Hell, they'd even do that deal with Sony if they could. I honestly, genuinely believe that. Microsoft probably has thought about what it would take to get PlayStation Studios exclusives into Xbox Game Pass on PC. I'm sure they've thought about that. So I don't think it stops Warner Brothers deals happening at all. Microsoft they're in a growth mindset right now. Their share price just keeps going up and up and up and up with no sign of slowing down. So I don't think the Sega deal stops that at all. Right. They're investing tons right now, and we'll talk about the Sega stuff in a bit.
Athiel says, Rand, your theory about Crystal Dynamics makes much more sense after the recent news between Square blaming Crystal Dynamics for Avengers' failure. Yeah. That's actually a topic, too. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Richard says, any news on Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Xbox? I mean...
I got nothing.
I haven't heard anything recently. Like, all I knew was that Sony had kind of re-upped their exclusivity deal. We weren't going to see it this year, but that it was going to come to PC and potentially Xbox perhaps next year. But I don't know. I don't know, like, how... I still think it'll come, but it does seem like PlayStation is very much of the mindset of, if you want to play an RPG from Square or Final Fantasy, it's on our system. You know, they locked up Forspoken for 2 years, it seems like. They've locked up Final Fantasy 16. They locked up Final Fantasy 7 Remake for at least 2 years. So I would imagine they probably didn't lock it up permanently. But I mean, 2 years might as well be permanent in the video game industry, right? Most people move on. Like, that's why a lot of these things are, you know, for 1 year deals, most people are like, oh my God, it's a year. A year is a long time to wait. And that's why these companies do it. But like 2 years is an eternity. So I think there's a good chance we'll see Final Fantasy next year on Xbox. It probably launches right alongside the PC version, if I had to guess. So
yeah, I think like the deal with, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a bit, I guess, but you can look at like the deal Microsoft's made with Sega as similar to the minority stake that Sony owns in Square Enix, right? It sort of gives them the clout to have preferential treatment on some of those kind of deals, I think. Obviously, I don't know if Microsoft has like a minority stake in Sega. I don't know if it's gone that far, but this kind of deal does give them sort of, I don't know, a sort of leverage over things like, you know, Football Manager, which is still not on PlayStation after like however long, and Football Manager 2022, which isn't coming to PlayStation, announced for PlayStation at all yet. So it's that kind of stuff, and we'll talk about it in more depth in a minute.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jez, I've been playing, I played a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy, which...
Oh yeah, that was getting good reviews, right?
Yeah. It's actually surprisingly well done. Like, I wasn't expecting much from this game. When like I saw the initial trailers, right? And then I started playing it for myself, and it's quite good. Like, the combat isn't the greatest right now. I'm still in like chapter 4, but it's got the writing is on point. The characterization is really good. The acting's great. Story seems really interesting. It looks phenomenal. But it's funny because people were praising how Guardians looked, right? It has the quality mode and performance mode. In the performance mode, it runs at 60 frames. And everybody was saying how great it looked. And then Digital Foundry did a deep dive and said, hey, performance mode is 1080p. And then suddenly Guardians of the Galaxy no longer was a good-looking game. It was just really weird how a lot of people can't think for themselves and are just kind of sheep being herded by other talking heads online. Like, it's just weird to see it flip. Like, all of a sudden they're like, it's 1080, and they didn't even say it looked bad. It was just, oh my God, this game's 1080p, it's horrible or whatever. It's just so I'll probably be able to finish that up this week and be able to talk about it more at length. But for the most part, this week I've been spending pretty much all my time playing Forza Horizon 5 because I got a review code from Xbox.
Nice.
And I put around a little bit over 20 hours into it. I'm like level 100 in the game. I have beaten the campaign. So I'm in the Hall of Fame, quote unquote. And I was a little bit wary going into this, Jez, because I love Forza Horizon, but with 4, even though I thought 4 was a great game, I was starting to get a little bit tired of the formula. right?
Hmm.
And the UK map wasn't as interesting as Australia in Forza
What?
Horizon 3. It
Are you
just
dissing
wasn't.
my country?
I'm not dissing your country, and people say that in the comments sometimes, like, Rand's dissing the UK, unsubscribe. I'm not dissing the UK.
Dude, I'm unsubscribing right
No,
now,
no.
man.
But there was just something to the Australia map in 3 that, I don't know, like, it was so good. It had all these different biomes. And when you compared it to 4, I just didn't like it enough. Like, so when I say the UK map was a bit boring, right?
Wow. Wow.
But Mexico,
I'm
bro.
gonna write to the Queen right now.
Mexico, man. Oh my lord. Like, they could not have chosen a better location for this game, because the Mexico map combined with the changes they've done have like reinvigorated my love for this franchise. You know, like, I think every Forza Horizon I have over 100 hours played. I think I got like 240 hours in 2, and like I think 150 in both like 3 and 4. So I play this game a lot. But when you play it a lot, like, you start to get maybe like the you start to get tired of the same sort of experience over and over again. And I thought, like, well, you know, how are they going to make this a fresh thing for me for 5? And it starts with the map, because the map, I'm just constantly blown away every time I play it. Like, every time I'm racing, whether it's with like Dealer or Cold Eastwood, we were playing together, screwing around in a convoy racing. And, you know, Dealer would be like, oh my God, look at this. And we'd be in the jungle, and you can see like the light streaming through the jungle trees as it hits like the water. And it's like, oh my God, right? And the map is just, it's so cool. There's so many different spots that I haven't really like, just you see as you're driving through. It's just I don't know. It's like much more colorful. There's many different places that are just like stand out, right? Rather over the UK, where it's just like, damn, this looks that good. It looks like a painting. And then you combine it with like the graphics itself on the Series X. Actually putting in work with how fast the loading is with the SSD when you fast travel or load the game up, and man, it's just such an incredible game. And like, Playground Games are just the masters of the racing genre. Like, nobody does racing as good as them. I'm sorry. Like, I've played all the different racing games. They all want to be Forza Horizon. Like, Dirt wants to be Forza Horizon. They're just, you know, I hear that complaint, like, well, how could Forza get such good reviews? Like, it's just a racing game. Well, if it was that easy, then every single racing game out there would be as highly rated. But they aren't. Yeah. Like, Dirt 5 isn't a 90 on Metacritic. Like, making racing games and making them as fun and enjoyable and engaging that you want to come back to time and time again is hard to do. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it, and every single racing game would be as highly rated as Forza. But they're not, you know? So it's like I play all these other racing games, and they want to be Forza Horizon, and it's so apparent. But the big thing for me, Jez, was the accolade system and the campaign. So in this one, you know, like in 4, Jez, I don't know how much you played a 4. You'd basically race. you would basically race. You earn XP. And you would unlock a bunch of different races, like a bunch of new races, and that would give you a showcase race, and you would rinse and repeat, right? The progression wasn't really satisfying, because it was just like, I'm racing to then earn more races, and okay, here's a cool, you know, oh, I'm in the Halo Warthog, and I'm doing this Halo race, and it wasn't satisfying, right? And because of the way it was structured in 4, you know, you would always kind of pick the cars that you were currently using, or the ones you had upgraded, right? So you had your favorite car for the road races, or you had your favorite car for the off-road, right? So, like, and whatever, like, points you would earn in the skill points, like, you would be locked to those cars you were using. So for me, I'd always be like, well, I'm going to use this Lamborghini because this is the one I like to use in the road racing, and it's the one I have the most points for the car masteries in, and I want to keep building toward that. So it would prevent me from, like, using and experiencing other cars simply because of, like, well, I want to use this one because I'm investing in it, right? But the way the accolade system works in this one is you get progress for doing anything. Like there's accolades for completing the races in different types of cars and different types of setups and different types of tuning, and you're always progressing to the next thing. And then on top of the change of the skill system, where any skill points you earn can be used on any car that you own. So you're not forced to use it on the car that you earned it in. You can just, if you earned 10 points on this car because you were using it, you can put those 10 points in any other car that you want. So I found myself starting a race, and Forza would recommend like 10 different cars. I found myself every single race choosing a different car. Cars I never would have used before. And because of that, I was having such a great time. Like I would be playing nonstop. Like initially when I got the code, I was like, all right, I'll play it for a couple hours. And that couple hours turned into like 5 or 6. And it was like that every single night, because I would be like, all right, I'm going to use this Bentley. All right, I'm going to use this Jaguar. I'm going to use this Lamborghini. Now I'm going to use this truck. I'm going to use this Jeep. And you're just constantly earning the accolades, and you're not bogged down by always using the points on the same car. And then you unlock the races in the order that you want to do it. So when you fill the accolade system out, and when you actually get like a token, you can choose where to go. You can choose to maybe like, I want to focus on the dirt racing or the street racing. And you do an expedition like you're actually exploring Mexico to like found a new festival there. And then you got like, once you found the street races, you can do all the street races, et cetera, and they have the showcases tied to that. Like it's such a, it gives the player choice in a way that they didn't in the previous ones. And because of that, it made it more satisfying for me to play.
Okay.
So instead of being like, I'm tired of the formula, now I'm like, I'm reinvigorated by the changes they've made to this. So I only just want to keep on playing and play with other cars that I didn't even know I wanted to. So like, I don't know, like it's such a feature complete game too. Like they got all the multiplayer. You can do everything in co-op if you want. It's got the battle royale at launch if you want to play that. Like it literally has everything. So, but then you think to yourself, it's like, man, what do they do for the next game? Right? It's like, how do they top this? Right? Because even in some of the reviews, you kind of see it like this game doesn't do anything different. It's awesome. But what do they do for the next one? It's like, well, is it finally time to go to Japan?
Yeah.
You know, like, I think people would love that.
How would like, I don't know, like, it's interesting to think about it. It's I thought it was funny that you mentioned the fact that you mentioned the fact that every racing game tries to be Forza, because I noticed that the crew got an update this week. I got an email about it, which I thought was funny, because it's almost like, who plays the crew? Like, I don't know anyone that plays the crew. But maybe that's just me. Maybe it's Maybe it's more popular than I realize. I don't know. But anyway, I suppose it is the thing. But I think Microsoft has shown that they're not going to force the devs to constantly make one every year, and they will give them the time to go back and try and sort of figure out how to change up the formula and stuff like that. Because the next Forza game, you've got to assume, is motorsport, right? Probably won't be Horizon, unless there's some kind of huge problem. Because like you said, Playground is the most consistent dev in the business. Like, could there be a scenario where Turn 10's Forza gets delayed and then Playground has to come and step in? I don't know.
No, because I think you're at minimum 3 years away from Forza Horizon 6, and I would imagine Motorsport is out by then.
Yeah.
So
my point being, I guess, is that they'll give them the time to take it back and see what they can do to make it new. I suppose like Japan is the one that everyone keeps constantly asking for, and it makes sense if Japan is Microsoft's calls Japan their biggest growth, market. Putting Forza in Japan is sort of almost a no-brainer at some point, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they could make it like stunt heavy or drift heavy. I don't know, the whole Tokyo drift thing. I don't know, but it's interesting to think about either way, especially like as someone who isn't a racing fan. I often think like, what can they do to entice me? Because there's a lot of people like me out there who just don't get racing, or they're just sort of ignorant of what makes it cool and fun. It always bugs me that you can't really smash the cars up. I get a lot out of that in some racing games where like you can, really smash the cars and create pileups and stuff like that. I realize it's not that kind of game, but and I know that they can't do impacts to make it too impact heavy because of licensing, and vendors don't want people to think their cars are made of paper if they crash. But yeah, I don't know. I do wonder what they could do to pull people like me, because I just can't get into racing games, man. It's definitely a me problem, because I can see how beautiful it is.
Oh yeah, it's a stunning game, and to think it's a cross-gen game as well. Like what it's gonna be like when, Turn 10 finishes updating their engine for next gen, and because they share technology, like the next Forza Horizon will be on the updated, Forza tech engine. How that's going to look when it's not when there is no cross-gen anymore. Because it's like you play this game and it's just like, it's stunning. This game is literally stunning.
Did Digital Foundry do
yes,
a look at how it runs on the Xbox One?
I believe they did. I didn't watch it for myself. But John, I know John did a video talking about the Series X version, and he was like pretty much blown away. It'd be interesting for anybody playing the game now. So like, there is this debate going on. When is the release date for Forza? Because Microsoft claims that all their games are day one in Game Pass, but Forza is out right now. But you can only play it if you buy the $100 version or the premium add-on bundle. So you can spend $100, own the game, get all the DLCs and everything, and get 4 days early access. Or you can download the game from Game Pass, pay the $50 to get all the premium add-ons, and it'll give you 4-day early access. So you can play it right now if you want to, or you can wait till Tuesday. So I guess the question then becomes, Jez, is what is truly the release date for this game? People are playing it now, so wouldn't now be the release date? And not Tuesday? You see the debate going on that I see some people have on social media, like
my question is, does it matter?
Probably not.
Does it matter? Like, Microsoft, I spoke to some people on Twitter about this the other day, because like this is a debate, right? Like, because they did it differently for Gears 5.
Yes, Gears 5. If you had Game Pass Ultimate, you got to play the game 4 days early.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they did it very differently for Gears 5, because they also released the DLC straight into Game Pass, which is something they generally don't do. They didn't do that for Minecraft Dungeons, if I remember right.
I think Gears 5 is the only, Highbusters is the only one to ever do that, where like the DLC came in and it was free, because normally like they want people to pay for that. So is Microsoft just experimenting with it? Does the individual studios have more control over it? Like, was the coalition like, no, we want to do this, and Playground Games is like, no, we don't want to do this? Like, how does that play out? Like, why was Gears 5 included as part of Game Pass Ultimate and the DLC included, but then stuff like Forza Horizon isn't? Like, what do you think that comes down to?
It's an interesting debate, but I think it probably ultimately comes down to, I think it does come down to experimentation. I think like they do want Game Pass to grow, and they're trying to see like, is Game Pass perks like this early access, is that going to help us to grow the platform ultimately? Will people join Game Pass Ultimate if they feel like they're getting definitive value out of it? And Isaac Robinson says in chat, Gears of War 5 DLC did not include in Game Pass, only in Ultimate. But yeah, that's what I mean though. Like it got included in Ultimate, but then there's like Minecraft Dungeons DLC, which doesn't even get included in Ultimate, because the business model of that game seems to be like, yeah, we'll give away the base game and then try and make some money on the DLC. Like every game has a different business model, a different goal they're trying to achieve when it comes to engagement and stuff. But I do think they are trying to create added value for Game Pass Ultimate, and probably the fact that they've been working with EA, and EA has been doing the whole subscription model for longer, and EA what's it called? EA Play, right?
Yeah.
EA Play has been doing sort of the early access thing for EA Play for a while. And maybe EA shared with Microsoft that, early access does seem to have this effect, What bothers me about it, Rand, is the inconsistency. Like the fact that it's on a game-by-game basis. You don't know what to expect game by game. Like, I don't know to expect, are all Microsoft games going to be in Game Pass? Like when it comes to DLC, are all of them going to be early access? Like, what is the model here? Like, we're basically the guinea pigs for Game Pass right now, right? Game Pass has nowhere near hit critical mass. It's still only got about like 25 million subscribers, people think, ish, in that sort of region. And we don't know what this is going to look like when it's sort of like, I don't know, 50 million. Let's just assume they get to 50 million one day. No idea if they will, but let's just assume that. The thing that I really like about Netflix is that I know exactly what I'm getting with Netflix. Like, every time in Netflix, you know what you're getting because they have a very consistent model. Everything they make goes into Netflix as soon as it's ready, and the whole show's up live. I don't think they've ever done anything differently on that level. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have. If they have, someone can correct me, but I want the consistency. That's my issue with it. That's my only issue with it. Like, give me a consistent sort of set of expectations for it, because right now I don't think there is one. It changes every game.
Yeah, I don't know. Something tells me that we're not going to see the Gears thing happen very often. So, and there might be even something to do with Halo, because there is an early access thing that was spotted, which we'll talk about when we talk about Halo. So we'll see how that all kind of comes together. But yeah. I mean, to finish it up on the Forza Horizon stuff, like, I went in thinking like, I'm not going to, I'm tired of the formula, but like the way the game looks on the Series X and the map itself combined with the changes to the campaign and the accolade system make it, for me, the most satisfying, rewarding Forza Horizon to play. Now, I'm an arcade racer guy. I know a lot of people love Forza Motorsport. I'm not a sim racer, so Gran Turismo and Motorsport don't really appeal to me. So I understand that for those of you out there who are the hardcore sim, like, you may not care for Forza, or when I say nobody does racing better, like, that's, me being maybe more hyperbolic, right? But I have noticed a lot of developers, when they make their racing games, are chasing after playground games because, they are the leaders when it comes to open world racing. They're the leaders when it comes to the racing genre. Because when you think about it, we mentioned before, Jez, not to bring the topic back up, but really quickly, we talked about the game of the years, right? Or what we thought the game of the year contenders would be: Psychonauts, Deathloop, Returnal, Ratchet. It Takes Two potentially, and some indie game. The thing is, more people are going to play Forza Horizon than all those games combined. Like Forza Horizon 4 has been played by 25 million people. Forza Horizon 5 is probably going to be played by just as many. And I don't know, do you find that interesting at all? That basically, not only is Forza Horizon going to be the highest reviewed game of the year, it's probably also going to be one of the most popular games of the year outside of like Halo Infinite and Call of Duty and stuff. Like,
but that doesn't make it like a game of the year nominee. I don't know what does. Like, what the hell do people want? I don't know. But it comes back to that emotional attachment sort of thing. Like, I can't form an emotional attachment to a car, but some people do. Some people, like, they form an emotional attachment to the game. They like building up their car collection and stuff. Like, how is that any different from cognitively than like some super story-driven game? It might not be for everyone, but I think it definitely should, and I think if it's not, it calls into question honestly, for me, if it's not nominated for Game of the Year, it calls into question the validity and the authority that the Keeleys had. If it was, and I'll write that editorial. If it's not nominated, I will literally write that editorial that the Game Awards has no authority because they're not serious about giving games that deserve the praise they deserve a good rating based on complete bullshit. So I'm watching you guys, Game Awards.
Jez is watching you.
I'm watching you guys.
So Don says, will developers think twice about making content platform exclusive, as Spider-Man being PlayStation exclusive did nothing but harm the game? I don't think Spider-Man being PlayStation exclusive did nothing but harm the game. It's one of the
game? Avengers.
I mean, if you're talking about Marvel Avengers, maybe. If you're talking about Spider-Man by Insomniac, I completely disagree. But yeah, if you're talking about Marvel, I don't know, the event, that whole, you remember how up in arms people were about the whole Spider-Man thing in Avengers, and then but now nobody cares about Avengers, and finally I think Spider-Man is launching this year, and it's trying to get an audience to come back, but now it's one character is only going to be on that one platform, and it's just man, they really screwed the pooch with Avengers.
Not
really,
only did they
really
screw
bad.
the pooch, but Square Enix screwing the dev. What's that about?
Yeah. Which we'll talk about here in a second. Achievement says Japan is Xbox's fastest-growing market, and Japan is the most requested Horizon. It's a no-brainer. Hopefully, do it the next year. Sajid Caesar says, "How are you not a fan of the Limiter, Rand?" When I played it during when I had access this week, not many people were playing or at least in one thing. So most of the matches I had were 30 people, and it just wasn't that engaging. I was just driving around, kind of just whatever. I didn't really even challenge many people. So maybe it'd be a lot better. Because I didn't play the Eliminator in Forza Horizon 4, but I did here, and it probably just didn't have enough people, because I think it can hold up to 64 people, and I was playing it with 30. And it just, I don't know, it just wasn't very engaging with that small amount. So I'll try it again now that the game's officially out, and maybe I'll have a better time with it. And that was the other thing. I don't know how seasons are going to impact this version of Forza Horizon. Because seasons were very apparent, right? In UK, you had winter, you had autumn, you had spring, and you had summer, and you could see the impact that the seasons had. But this one's a little bit different. We only really know of spring and summer, and it's wet versus dry. I don't really know if there's a winter season, so to speak, because I don't think Mexico really has that really hardcore winter that the UK does, right? But they did say there's 4 seasons. There's going to be an autumn season, which is storm season. And with 4, you were able to experience the seasons right away. They let you play through the beginning in the prologue, and you got to experience each one of the seasons, so you kind of could see for yourself, oh yeah, this is how winter changes it compared to spring. But in this one, it didn't. You didn't get, so I don't know how the seasons are going to affect.
A wet season or whatever.
Well, yeah,
wet season.
But what I'm saying is I didn't get to experience all 4, so I don't know how the weather is going to impact everything. I didn't see a dust storm in the game outside of specific scenarios. So
there was one in the prologue, wasn't there?
There was, no. But yeah, a specific scenario in the prologue, and in one of the Horizon stories. I've never been driving around the map, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, there's a dust storm rolling in. You know what I mean? That's never happened to me. So, Flame says it won't get nominated because it doesn't have a PS5 or Nintendo logo attached to it. Watch Gran Turismo get nominated when it releases. Well, I mean, if that were to happen, yeah, if somehow Forza doesn't get nominated, but then Gran Turismo gets nominated the following year, that would be some bullshit. I'll be the first one to call that out. But anyways, yeah, so let us know how many people are playing Forza Horizon right now. Did you go for the premium or ultimate edition? Did you use the New Zealand trick to play it early? Jess, you know about the New Zealand trick, right?
Yeah. Games always launch first in New Zealand, right?
Well, unless there's a synchronized global launch, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody doesn't know, you can basically set your console if you have the game pre-ordered from the store, and if you set your console to New Zealand, you can pretty much always play games well before, 12 hours before they launch here in the States, maybe even more.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And as far as I know, you don't get in trouble with it, but don't take my word for it. I've never heard anybody getting in trouble, but I've done it a few times myself, so sometimes I just couldn't wait to play a game, and I'm like, I'm taking a quick trip to New Zealand, so. Hargit Chaney says, do you think any Xbox game will actually be nominated for Game of the Year? I still don't think it'll happen. I feel pretty confident Psychonauts 2 will get nominated. Deathloop, I think, has a good chance as well. I mean, that's an Xbox game, right? So, yes, I think Psychonauts 2, I would go as far as to say Psychonauts 2 is a lock to be nominated.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, Psychonauts 2, Deathloop. Do they have a real-time strategy thing, Jez? Because Age of Empires 4 probably get nominated.
Over Forza? I don't think it'll get nominated over Forza, surely.
I mean, like a real-time strategy category.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's pretty much what are the real-time strategy launched this year? Like Iron Harvest, was that this year? Or was that last year? I think Forza's pretty much got that down. I think Xbox is going to clean up. Like, even if Forza's not nominated for Game of the Year, I think they're going to clean up with the categories. You've got Psychonauts, you've got Age of Empires, you've got Forza. They've had a really diverse year. Loads of major updates to existing games, loads of DLC for Minecraft Dungeons, DLC for Grounded, DLC for Wasteland. They've had just a really good year. Like, I don't think anyone can take that away from Microsoft now, to be fair. But I don't know. People will.
That's true. Wolf, who's been a member of the channel for 5 months, says, hey guys, anyone else want to know about Fable or Hellblade 2 like me? Loving the stream. I want to know about Fable. I know some about Hellblade 2, but I don't know anything about Fable. Do you know anything about Fable, Jez? You got all the info. You know anything about Fable?
I know nothing. I know literally nothing about it. I really do know nothing. And it sucks because that's the one game that I'm super intrigued about. Like, someone at Playground, just slip into my DMs. Just tell me stuff, man.
And the stuff you know about Hellblade 2 makes you drool with excitement.
I know some. I know a little bit about Hellblade 2. I know a little bit about it. That took me from intrigue to, oh my god, I really need this game. So I know a little bit about Hellblade, but I know nothing about Bethesda. I know nothing about Playground. I know nothing about a lot of the games that I am super interested in. So, alas.
Paul says, would you like to see an Xbox version of Super Smash Brothers? I mean, for all my Super Smash Brothers out there, sure, but like, I'm not a fan of Super Smash Brothers.
You're not a fan of platform fighters?
Not really, no.
I actually, it's funny. I actually spoke to someone at Xbox about this not long ago. I said, wouldn't it be cool if like Xbox had its own platform fighter, with all the different characters you've got across Bethesda and ZeniMax and Xbox Game Studios and stuff? And they're like, we don't think we've earned that yet. They literally said that. They don't think they've earned it. I don't think they've earned the right to sort of make a game that celebrates everything because they believe they've still got work to do, which I thought was an incredibly humble opinion to have about it, considering how good they've been doing. But that was some of the sentiment there. Because clearly they have the IP to do something like that. They could easily make a Forza kart game, with Doom Guy, shooting people off their cars and stuff like that. Why not? I think that'd be rad, but I think they wanna wait a bit and build up to a point where they've sort of, solidified that they're back at capacity before they start diving down that road, maybe. I don't know. I like the idea though. And I do think Killer Instinct could do it. Everyone's saying Killer Instinct in chat.
Yeah, I mean, our buddy Nick is saying Killer Instinct's in active development again, Jez.
Yeah, I certainly haven't heard anything to suggest that's true, but who knows? Maybe it is true.
Cross our fingers. Lucia says, what if a Sony Director's Cut game wins Game of the Year instead of any of the Xbox or Bethesda games? I don't think any of the Director's Cut games can be nominated for Game of the Year. So, like, the Death Stranding or Ghost of Tsushima ones, I don't think are able to. I could be wrong about that. I don't really... And if they can be nominated, I doubt they will be. So... Yeah. DB Cooper says 1,100 people watching and only 350 likes. If you're old enough to use Manscaped, hit that button and help the guys out. Yeah, so I guess we have over 1,100 people watching on this great Friday. Make sure you guys do us a favor and hit that like button and share this out. It helps out the channel more than you can know, because YouTube sometimes can be horrible at the algorithm and getting the podcast and videos in front of people. It's could definitely be a problem quite often. So we were talking about Crystal Dynamics and Square, right? About how basically Square blamed Crystal Dynamics for not being the right studio to work on Avengers. Jez, did you hear about that?
I did hear about that, and I actually agree. But the way that comes across is like, yeah, no shit. You guys gave them that. And the thing is, Square Enix, this isn't the first time you've done something like this. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, you forced a service mode into that game, multiplayer, which detracted from the single player because you allocated budget there, you allocated devs there. So it's not the first time Square Enix has done some kind of bullshit like this. So that comment really irritated me. It's like they're like, oh yeah, we're so shocked. We are so shocked that given a studio that only knows how to make single player games, a service game to make would not work properly. Like that is the height of hypocrisy and also passing the buck, I think. So I think Square Enix can go do one, because that's a load of crap. And I think it's such a crappy thing to say about one of your devs. How demoralizing would you be? How would you feel hearing that the CEO saying that?
I mean, I'm sure you would feel pretty crappy about your boss throwing you under the bus and your team under the bus, that you weren't the right fit for Avengers, a service-based game, which, like, I could have told you that. Like, if it was just going to be Avengers as a single-player game and nothing else, Crystal Dynamics is a perfect fit. Because a lot of the single-player stuff in the game is actually really good. It's the service stuff that falls flat on its face.
Didn't, IDOS, mate, isn't Guardians of the Galaxy a single-player game?
Yes, through and through. A single-player game through and through, and it's really good so far.
That goes to show, doesn't it? IDOS Montreal, or whatever, made a single-player game, and it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say about Square Enix's, brain cells? How many brain cells did Square Enix need to sort of conjure up to come to the conclusion that a single-player dev should make a single-player game? How many brain cells did it need? How many brain cells did Square Enix need? I have no idea. I think, it goes back to what we've said previously on other podcasts here, where I was saying that, I was theorizing that Bethesda was struggling the last few years to find its identity in a world that is moving towards engagement. And that's why we got games like Wolfenstein Youngblood and Fallout 76, which are like service games that nobody asked for. Like, literally nobody on Earth asked for Wolfenstein Youngblood. I'm sorry. Like, literally nobody in the world asked for that game. A bunch of people did ask for multiplayer Fallout, though. But nobody asked for multiplayer Wolfenstein, especially not like a loot shooter sort of weird Diablo FPS thing without loot that doesn't really work. Man, Wolfenstein Youngblood, what a mess.
Mm-hmm. What a mess indeed.
Awesome calamity that is. But I think Square Enix is going through the same transition. They're trying to figure out where they fit in a world where service games are god, and we're going to talk about this as well, but you've even heard Ubisoft and EA talking about NFTs and blockchain this week, which just makes me want to punch myself in the face repeatedly about how much greed that can possibly
there's not enough greed, Jez,
be in the industry.
Not enough.
Seriously.
It's not enough.
Yeah. It's never enough for these people.
Yeah.
EA had its biggest quarter ever, but it's not enough. It's never enough for these people.
Perpetual growth. That's what investors want, remember?
Yeah.
Perpetual never-ending growth. I don't know. It's just this news about Crystal Dynamics comes hot on the heels of them working with Xbox and Perfect Dark, which is just surprising in its own right. Because it's like, why aren't they working on a game for Square Enix? Why are they going to spend the next couple years working on Perfect Dark? That seems odd. And now it's like, Square Enix president throws them under their bus. It's like, maybe this is all just going to, what we've been speculating, or at least what I thought might happen, was this probably just going to end up with just Xbox buying Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix after they get some time together on Perfect Dark. Square Enix can wash their hands of them and just be like, we tried, we got money for it or whatever. It's just like, here you go. And I think they'd be a great pickup for Xbox. So,
yeah, I genuinely believe that is what's going to happen. And like, that was totally your thing. That was your analysis. You should be a game blogger, Rand. Mm-hmm. You should be a blogger. What do you think? Randall journalist.
Yeah. I mean, I got the hair like Jeff Grubb. You know, I got the nice, long, luxurious hair like Grubb. I just don't have the leaks like you guys do, you know?
Oh, yeah, you just pretend you don't. This is my guess about what's going to happen. Microsoft's going to buy Crystal Dynamics. Oh, yeah, that was just totally a guess, guys. That was totally a guess. That's you, right?
Yeah. Wolf Assassin says, question to Jez, when you appeared on Unlocked a couple weeks back, you told them that you want to watch the Xbox 20th anniversary stream. That you would want to watch the Xbox 20th anniversary stream. Can you please explain? Updates on already announced games? ? Yeah, you know what? I don't think we got to mention that here. You were on an episode of Podcast Unlocked with Dustin Legary and I think Miranda Sanchez, or maybe it was somebody else. I'm not sure. And you and Miles were there, and you were rocking it. Podcast Unlocked. Yeah, but you did say Xbox fans would want to tune in. So do you know anything going on about the 20th anniversary? Like he says here, like what do you? Can you explain by what you meant? You know,
I can't. Like, I'll just be honest. You know, basically, I was told by someone I trust that I'll definitely want to watch it. I don't know exactly what's going to be announced there. Microsoft has like downplayed it a little bit. They've said things like, don't expect new game announcements or whatever, which I think is fair, you know, to give people a heads up. But I was told by someone that I trust that people are going to want to watch it, and I will want to watch it. So this person who told me this is not the kind of person who would lie or overhype something. So I believe them, and I'm going to watch it because this person told me that we should watch it. So that's basically it. I'm not going to tease anything because I honestly don't know what's going to be there. I have no idea. Nobody I spoke to knows. I was just told that we should watch it. So,
Drew says Jez is cheating on Rand and other podcast guests. Well, he did Podcast Unlock, and I was invited on Kind of Funny Xcast. So, you know,
yeah,
we got that going for us. Man, we got a whole bunch of different stuff to talk about here. Like, let's talk about this because you sort of mentioned it before more information came out. Banner Saga devs are working on Project Belfry. Do you have any more information about this? Because I think you wrote an article about it. So we haven't talked about Project Belfry on the podcast. So do you want to mention a little bit more about this Xbox Global Publishing game, Project Belfry from Banner Saga?
Yeah, so I think first of all, it was sort of like it was Jeff Grubb who posted about it first. I think I teased it on the podcast by saying that a popular indie studio was working on an exclusive for Microsoft a little while ago. But I wasn't planning on leaking that. But you know, the leaks the arms race as it is. Jeff Grubb posted about it, but he didn't say the studio, so I said the studio. And no, like it's basically out there. That Stoic, who made the Banner Saga, which is it's a turn-based tactics game with a sort of RPG elements and like a really good sort of unique art style. It's sort of
very unique. It's got a very unique art style, I'll say.
Yeah, it's like a painting almost. So they're working on an exclusive for Microsoft. I have no idea when it's coming out. I think Jeff said 2022, if I remember right. I honestly don't know a huge amount about the game except for what Jeff Grubb said. So, you know, what exactly did Jeff Grubb say about it?
It kind of resembles like Dragon's Crown, and it's like more of a 2D side scroller brawler-ish or something was what he said.
Yeah, okay. So Project Belfry this is from my article, just because it was easy to find. But this information does come from Jeff Grubb's Grub Snacks podcast, which is a premium podcast on giantbomb.com, I believe, if I've got that right.
Are we a premium podcast? Do you guys consider us a premium podcast?
I mean premium because you have to pay to watch
I know what premium means, Jez. God.
We're a Manscaped podcast. Use the code XB2 to get 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. But
now they have to pay double because you did it twice.
Yeah, maybe. But but anyway, yeah, Project Belfry. So this is what Jeff Grubb said. He said Project Belfry will sport similar art styles to those found in the Banner Saga depicted above, sporting side-scrolling, brawling combat similar to the likes of old PlayStation exclusive called Dragon's Crown. Grubb specifically linked the art style to the anime movie Princess Mononoke. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. And yeah, so it sounds like it's going to have co-op. And the belfry, a belfry is the part of a church which has the bell in it, like a church tower kind of thing. Apparently, the belfry is going to be sort of base that you do upgrades in and upgrade your equipment, and you can also upgrade your base and stuff like that. So I'm thinking it's going to be Castle Crashers ish, but maybe more serious in tone. Sounds really cool, in my opinion. I think it'd be like a Game Pass game of the month, maybe. You know, one of those months, kind of like Death's Door was, maybe near the summer, something like that. I think that's probably where that's going to fall. But it sounds pretty cool to me. Like, I haven't played the Banner Saga. Have you played it?
I have not played the Banner Saga, so I know a lot of people really love it though.
Yeah, it's sort of cult classic. It's got like 7 out of 10 on Metacritic, which is not the highest score in the world, but it seems like it does have a lot of love behind it, and it does seem that Stoic is quite close to Microsoft as a studio. So I think that's going to end up being like a game that sort of drops into Game Pass, and it'll be like Death's Door. It'll be that game of the month, and it sounds pretty cool. But that's all we pretty much know about it so far. I don't think there's a huge amount left to say about it beyond that. But yeah.
And what about Josh Sawyer's Project Missouri? Do you have any info about that?
Project Missouri. So this is another leak from ye old Mr. Grubb. Jeff Grubb leaked on, again, I think it was the Grubb Snacks podcast again on giantbomb.com, just to give proper sourcing there. He leaked that Josh Sawyer's game, which is supposedly coming out next year, and I previously teased on this podcast actually as well. That is a sort of, it's like a murder mystery narrative adventure game with a sort of set in 16th century Europe. Actually, did he leak that part? I don't know, but I'm leaking that part. It's set in 16th century Europe, and it's a murder mystery game with like very deep interactive elements. So like the consequences of your actions are going to weigh heavily on that game, more heavily than perhaps some other games with branching narratives. So like you'll be able to like make accusations and accuse people, and if those accusations are wrong, that'll have like a cascading effect on your story and stuff like that. So that's Josh Sawyer's game, and I'll reveal the name of it because I don't think Jeff did. It's the code name is Missouri, but the game itself is called Pentiment, which is a word I'd never heard before I saw this information. But apparently, Rand, a pentiment comes from the Latin pentimento, and it refers to a painting, the presence or emergence of earlier images, forms, or strokes that have been changed or painted over. So basically, it refers to the fact that, like, the murder mystery, you'll be peeling back layers of the mystery, like the pentimenti, like in a painting. Sometimes, like with those classical paintings, they scan the painting, and then underneath that you see like older paintings that are sort of hidden beneath. I think like Leonardo DiCaprio had a bunch. No, Leonardo DiCaprio? No,
Leonardo
da
DiCaprio.
Vinci.
Yeah.
The famous classical painter Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesus.
No, Leonardo da Vinci. Sorry, I believe his paintings had a lot of like pentimenti going on, where it was like he'd painted over them and left hidden messages inside his paintings. I don't know. I'm sure there's like an art degree person here rolling his eyes and cringing at my lack of classical.
Doesn't matter. Whatever you said, this is already an article. Someone's already typing this up right now.
Yeah, maybe, but the info's already out there. Jeff Grubb put it out there. I didn't actually know very many details about the game. I just know I knew the name of the title, that it was a small dev team. Microsoft describes it as an indie darling. So it's kind of like, it's going to be like a unique indie style sort of game heading to Game Pass, no doubt. From Obsidian, from Josh Sawyer, who's like a master of the art of the branching narrative. So for me, that sounds pretty cool. It doesn't have combat or anything, from what I understand, and yeah, so that's Josh
I
Sawyer's
think Josh
game.
Sawyer said his inspiration for his game is Disco Elysium, by the way. So
Yeah, so Disco
that
Elysium. I
kind of
haven't actually
fits, right?
played that. Yeah, that does fit. Disco Elysium is a murder mystery too, but it's like a cyberpunk murder mystery,
Yeah.
right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounds really cool. Like I'm really interested in it. I have a sort of concept art for the game as well. It looks like straying back into classical art history. It kind of looks like a tapestry, like the Bayeux tapestry, if you know what that is, or what's it called, the Magna Carta and all that sort of stuff. It's 16th century Europe, so take from that what you will. But it sounds really cool. I'm interested in it, and yeah, Pentiment. Pentiment is a very, very weird word that I never heard before until this. So
Yes, Pentiment.
Pentiment.
Anyways,
Let's say it.
so that's all the is that all the leaks we have on new games? You know, you gave out information about Project Typhoon, which was Contraband, and Project Dragon, which is IO Interactive. You gave out stuff about Project Shaolin, which is the Wu-Tang RPG. Project Belfry, which is from the Banner Saga devs. Now we got Project Missouri, which is supposedly, as you said, Pentiment, at least in the stuff you saw or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you still sitting on more info that you just don't want to say right now?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I need to look at my phone. I need to look at my notes. I'm like, it's ridiculous, man. There's just so much activity at Xbox Game Studios right now. There's so much stuff on the way, and it's really exciting, you know. But off the top of my head, I think I might be coming to the end of how much information I've got, but I'll probably remember something that I've forgotten a bit. Who knows?
Right. Wolf says, last question before I head out. What's this about Alpha Protocol, the espionage RPG from Obsidian, published by Sega, being teased? You know anything about this, Jez? Is Sega teasing a return to Alpha Protocol?
I think what maybe that person's referring to is the fact that I don't know. There was a 2017 tweet from a 2017 tweet from Obsidian where they were like talking about Alpha Protocol or something. I can't remember. Like, do you have Wolf Assassin? Do you have any more context on that? Because I'm not sure I've seen anything about it.
Yeah, Navi says Jez's comments on the 20th anniversary stream is already on Reddit. What was that? 10 minutes ago? 15 minutes ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And,
I don't know.
And
tell Reddit to use our Manscaped code XB2.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I can always tell exactly what's going to get articles written. According to Xbox's 2 podcast host Jez Corden and some other guy, you want to watch out for the Xbox 20th anniversary. He says you want to tune in to watch. And why do you want to tune in? Because someone he trusts said you won't want to miss it. Okay. Hey, but at least nobody told you to watch the Gamescom or TGS stream. So, if that same person had told you, you know what, you should check out TGS and Gamescom, and they would have told you to watch out for this, you'd know. It'd be like, well, no, I don't think so. I don't think I will. I don't think so, because there's nothing tuning in there for the Gamescom stuff.
That is true.
So yeah. So anyways, I figure, now would be a good time to talk about the Sega stuff, Jez. And you definitely... That info really kind of spread far and wide on, I believe it was Monday, right? Monday when that deal broke up between Sega and Xbox, correct?
Yes. It was Monday, yes. Sega PR posted about it. It wasn't Microsoft PR, which I thought was interesting.
People are saying that you posted on Twitter about Alpha Protocol, Jez. You yourself did.
Oh no, I was just Oh yeah, sorry, I misread that. I'm sorry, but no, I was just wishful thinking from me. I was just imagining like what could they do? Like now they've got this partnership, maybe like because I've been told that or well, I've heard, shall I say, that Obsidian is gunning for one game launch for the next 7 years. Like they have plans for their multi-team studio to make games for the next 7 years. And I was wondering, like, maybe one of them is a pitch for an Alpha Protocol remake or something like that along those lines. I have no idea, but I was just thinking, like, it'd be really cool if that was something that could be a thing. But no, I definitely don't have information on that. That was purely wishful thinking, honestly. Honestly.
Mm-hmm. Purely wishful thinking.
Yeah, it was. It was wishful thinking.
Well, anyways, so the Sega's thing. So Sega, they announced it on their corporate website, and there was some little snippets of some quotes from Sarah Bond, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when it happened, I sent it to you. I'm like, Jez, you might want to take a look at this. And you know what he said to me immediately, chat? You know what so, look, I'm the type of person, and this is why maybe Twitter isn't for me, and why I really don't do, like, I always kind of wait. I don't do the hot takes, right? So you saw everybody, when they saw that Sega Xbox news, immediately everybody's rushing to Twitter, typing in, like, oh my god, what could it be? You know, does this mean Xbox is acquiring Sega? Does this mean all games are coming to Game Pass day one, right? Or this means absolutely nothing. This is just like the Sony deal, right? Like, everybody's literally getting onto Twitter within 2 minutes, dropping their hot takes without basically any sort of investigation. So I saw it pop out, and I retweeted. I'm like, interesting. Right?
Why do I feel criticized right now?
Well, because you should be criticized, because you're someone who has avenues open to you where you can investigate these sort of things. You have the resources to ask people who know about these things. So I didn't say anything, right, on Twitter, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ask some people for myself before I put my foot in my mouth like other people have. So I sent it to Jez, and the first thing Jez says to me is, this is a complete nothing burger. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, okay. Jez thinks it's absolutely nothing. Fine, whatever, right? And then what happens 24 hours later, Jez? I get a DM from Jez and being like, talk to some people. It's actually not nothing. It's actually kind of quite significant. And anybody on online saying that the Xbox Sega deal means nothing is completely wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow, what's Rand calling me out for? But but yeah, I did say it was probably nothing to start with. And you didn't.
There was no probably, Jez. You were like, I look at the DMs and you were like, it's a complete nothing burger.
Yeah, I always give you hyperbole in DMs, man.
Yeah, you do.
But I was sort of like, my thought process was, Sega announced it, not Microsoft. They talk about Azure and stuff like that, and I was thinking, like, okay, well, this is probably just an Azure thing, whatever. And then, like, I actually read the copy, which I hadn't done when I said that. And, and saw that Sarah Bond gave a quote at the bottom of the email. And it was actually broken by Sarah Bond, not like the Azure team or whatever. And it's actually sort of, there might actually be something to this. So then I spoke to a few people at Xbox to get some extra clarification, because my boss had said to me, you're going to have to write about that. And, and I was like, well, okay, well, I'll try and get some extra context before I start making assumptions and stuff, because I don't want to overhype or overplay something if there really is nothing there, if there is really not going to be any benefits for Xbox gamers, because that's what the name of the game is, right? But turns out that we've already seen some of the benefits, Rand.
Have we seen some of the benefits already? Is some of this stuff already flying under people's radars, Jez?
No, I mean, well, literally a few hours after the announcement, really, the developers of Total War Warhammer announced months in advance of the game's launch, which is going to affect pre-order sales, I would have thought, that the game is dropping straight into Game Pass for PC. Now, if that isn't evidence right there of what this partnership means, I think, like,
Yeah,
that's a pretty obvious one,
but
right?
Jez, people aren't putting two and two together here. They think those are two completely separate things.
Right.
A lot of people aren't thinking that the Sega deal and then all of a sudden Total Warhammer 3 coming to Game Pass on PC day one. They're not thinking they're linked. They're thinking that they're completely separate. You know?
Well, unfortunately, they're wrong because they are obviously linked. And I think anyone with half a brain cell rattling around in their skull will probably realize that, of course, they're bloody well linked. Like this is a Total War is a pretty big franchise, right? Not only is Total War a big franchise, it's tied to another big franchise, Warhammer. And Total War Warhammer is just generally a big RTS franchise. It's like it's up there with like Dawn of War and stuff as like one of the preferred Total War games, preferred Warhammer games. Like a lot of Warhammer games are not good, but Total War Warhammer is like Total War and Warhammer is pretty surefire going to be at least pretty decent. But for that to launch straight into Game Pass is pretty strange, for it to just be a random thing. This is totally part of the deal, and we're going to see more of this. Like you're going to see a lot more of this over the months and years ahead, where Sega has seen the benefits for Game Pass on its games like 2 Point Hospital, which launched into Game Pass, and like a bunch of other games. It sees Game Pass as a vehicle to rapidly scale interest in a game, which then leads to like ambient sales and ongoing interest in a game. 2 Point Hospital has had a load of DLC for the game, which wasn't in Game Pass, which obviously would have sold probably on the back of people trying the game out for themselves in Game Pass. So, there's like an obvious strategy play here. Like they're looking at it and thinking like, we can put our games in here, like our service type games. We can sell the DLC on the back of the user base that we get as a result of Game Pass. And, Microsoft really wants to grow its Game Pass for PC offering because they're competing with the Steam experience here. And they've got a long way to go before they can compete with Steam realistically. A long, long way to go. Not just in the quality of the content, but the quality of the delivery. The Game Pass app for PC is absolute garbage. And I hope anyone listening to Microsoft who works on that stuff, please hear my pleas and fix that app. Because until you do, Game Pass for PC doesn't stand a chance, my friend. Does not stand a chance. So, I digress. It's going to be a good thing, and it's going to lead to a lot of preferential treatment. We talked earlier about Square Enix getting preferential treatment from Sony. Oh no, the other way around. Sony getting preferential treatment from Square Enix because they're closely aligned with stuff. They've got a minority stake in Square Enix or whatever. So that does lead to preferential treatment, and that's why we see like Final Fantasy skip the platform, and that's why we see other games skip the platform. That's why we see Nier Automata skip the platform for ages, because Microsoft doesn't have that kind of relationship. But because Microsoft is going in deep with their relationship with Sega, we're going to see that preferential treatment. But not only that, Rand, there's an economy play here as well.
Oh, economy.
Because
okay.
this means
Hit me, Jez.
So
tell me about it.
Well, like sort of the economy of Japan, basically. So what this means is that Microsoft gets like more cash flow in Japan specifically, which means they can invest more in hiring people specifically to help the Japanese market. I've seen like they've got a huge amount of positions open for like admin level jobs in Japan, producers and staff, and growing out that studio. To cash flow that, they need money in Japan, to cash flow that. And these kind of deals will get the money into Japan to help, get to where they want to be in terms of growing their Japanese developer base, Japanese exclusive games, and, growing the Japanese audience. And like I wrote an article not long ago, if Microsoft was ever serious about taking the Japanese market, now's the right time. Sony's moved its HQ out of Japan. They've alienated Japanese gamers with like a massive, massive console that's like literally huge, and Andy's less powerful than Xbox Series X, objectively speaking. Before people get annoyed about that comment, but it's and also PlayStation also swapped. Did you see anything about this, Rand? PlayStation swapped because in Japan, circle is the activation button, like on Nintendo consoles.
Okay.
Do you know this? Circle and X.
Oh,
They are reversed in Japan
are they?
until this gen. Until this gen. So like this generation, Sony reversed them to the American style, where it's like A is the activation button or X, whatever. They swapped them around, and that really annoyed a lot of people in Japan as well. So Sony haven't won themselves any like goodwill in Japan lately. And also, there's a lot of games getting censored in Japan for American audiences because we all know Americans are very sensitive people, and that annoys people as well. When a Japanese game gets censored for American audience, that sort of says like, do you actually still care about this audience? You've moved your HQ out of Japan, you're doing all this stuff, So there's a lot of cogwheels at play, and this is sort of like Microsoft putting more money into Japan so they can grow into Japan.
Okay.
So that's where my thinking on that is, and I think like it'll benefit gamers in Japan, it'll benefit gamers in the West. I think it's gonna be fun times, man. It's gonna be fun times.
I love the fact that it's just funny because I love the fact that people speak without knowing the facts of something. Not you, because me and you always just bullshit in our DMs, anyways, right? So, but like, there's so many people out there that are basically staking the claim that this deal means nothing, and it's just gonna over time just prove them wrong. Like I don't think me or you are saying it's going to lead to an acquisition of Sega. I don't think me and you are saying that, but
no.
I think you're going to see Xbox and Sega work much closely together. I think you'll see more games come to Game Pass day and date, and I know a lot of people, especially in chat, are asking about Persona. Maybe that's where people will notice, hey, maybe this Sega deal means something if Persona finally does make its way to Xbox. Because people look at Total Warhammer 3 and they're like, whatever, it's a separate thing. They're not really going to believe it until something big happens. So, but yeah, that's because when I saw that, I'm like, that's odd that Sarah Bond's the one doing it. Like, that's got to mean a little bit more than just like the Sony, like when PlayStation or when Sony did the deal with Satya, right? Which we haven't seen anything about. We don't even know if it's going on or whatever for the Azure servers. This one seems a little bit different.
Yes.
And you know this because you talk to people who would know.
Yes, I did. You can do that as a journalist. Like you can talk to PR and get background information on certain things and get their opinions on stuff. It just gives you extra context and stuff because Sega led the PR on this. So there was a lot of questions about what this actually means for Xbox. And I see people in chat asking about Atlas games and like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. And does that mean we'll finally get those games on Xbox? And I think I don't know if this is true just in general or if it's specific to the Japanese market or whatever, but it's definitely a thing that I know from speaking again to people in the industry that Square Enix and Sega as well, a lot of their dev teams are sort of like, they don't operate independently of each other, but they do operate with a lot of independence, more so than Western studios often do. And you have to think about it this way. It took several years for Activision to fully politically absorb Blizzard. Like, it's only been in the last couple of years that Blizzard no longer has a separate CEO. So politically, Mike Morhaime had a lot of clout at Blizzard, and he had like political clout, and it's sort of almost like a military thing. Like Mike Morhaime's founder of Blizzard, one of the OGs, very popular at the studio. He had a lot of clout and he had a lot of political will. And Activision knew that for the studio to operate effectively and efficiently, that they needed to keep Mike Morhaime happy, because if he wasn't happy, then he'd pass that disgruntled the sense of being disgruntled down to through the games and stuff. So there's a political aspect to this, and it's only been this year that or the last couple of years or 3 years or whatever, Mike Morhaime left, which meant Blizzard no longer had a CEO. It was no longer a separate CEO. It was like someone was just in charge of Blizzard. And then we lost all the Blizzard founders completely. All the OG Blizzard people are completely gone now. And now our old pal, Mikey Barra, runs all of Blizzard by himself. But basically, because Mikey Barra is a newcomer, he answers directly to Activision. Like there is no political independence at Blizzard anymore. It is now Activision's way or the highway. So you can think of Blizzard now as completely absorbed by Activision, because Mike isn't an OG Blizzard guy. Mike isn't going to bat for Blizzard OG people over the guy paying these checks. He's gonna want to do what Activision tell him to do at the end of the day. So he's kind of like a steward, and really Bobby Kotick is the head honcho there. There's no CEO of Blizzard anymore. It's just the steward in charge or whatever. And it's similar, I expect, to some studios like Atlas, which have like a huge amount of clout at Sega. They have a huge fan base, and they probably have a huge amount of operational independence, where it's kind of like, well, we don't want to put it on Xbox, So I think Microsoft probably needs to develop a relationship maybe directly with Atlas to sort of chip away at that. But obviously this deal with Sega won't hurt, It won't hurt them to get closer to Atlas and be like, this is how Game Pass can potentially benefit you guys. This is what we can do in terms of servers. This is what we can do in terms of, I don't know, giving you cutbacks on Office licenses. This is what we can do with engines and cloud streaming and all this stuff. It gives Microsoft a pass to get to the backstage, basically. So some of it's political. Some things cannot be solved with money. Some things have to be sort of engineered politically over time. And this deal certainly won't hurt the effort to get Atlas games onto Xbox. But there is a lot of politics in the industry. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that it isn't just money sometimes. Sometimes it is politics.
Right. Well, I mean, you're 100% true. There's a lot of politics involved in everything. So, but we got a couple super chats here. I just wanted to say, Jez, we got one from Cameron Mitchell, who is my sister's fiance, who says, "Hi, Matt. It's your sister, Sarah. I love and miss you. Keep up the good work. So proud." Thank you, Sarah. And I miss you as well. So, Sarah just moved with Cameron to, and she's going to kill me if I get this wrong, believe Virginia, or maybe it's North Carolina, or...
You don't remember where she moved?
It's one of those states. No, it's Tennessee. It's Tennessee. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's Tennessee.
Wow.
So she moved to Tennessee with her fiance, and then I think in a year they're going to be going out to Washington, to like Seattle. So I don't get to see my baby sister anymore. So it makes me depressed. But it's
how many siblings do you have?
I got two sisters. I got two sisters and one brother, all younger. I'm the oldest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's gonna be like Virginia.
I'm not surprised. You generally are the oldest.
Yes, that's true. So, Andy Hart says, "Can't wait for Forza Horizon 5. What I've seen from GTA Trilogy Remastered really exciting me. Also, would like yours and Jez's opinion on the Series S." Well, I haven't really played much on the Series S, but I think you have, right, Jez? You've used the Series S a bit.
Yeah, I had to do a load of testing on the Series S, and also when I first moved to Germany, I could not get a Series X, so I was kind of stuck on a Series S for a while. A Series S is a good machine. Like it's not going to blow anyone's minds, and as more games get optimized for it, I'm starting to appreciate it more and more. Like for example, when I first got the Series S, I was playing Chivalry 2 a lot, and Chivalry 2 was not optimized for the Series S and Series X, and that really bummed me out, because if the game isn't optimized, you get the worst of all worlds. You get like the Xbox One S version of the game, which is oftentimes locked to really terrible frame rate, as you know, and it's locked to a really terrible resolution. But more and more games are being enhanced for next gen. So like now you can get like Chivalry, the full blown next gen version, which is great. And because of that, it started to come into its own a bit. And I think next year we're going to see even more games start skipping Xbox One generation entirely, which means even more games will be optimized for it. So the Series S is a console really that gets better over time, compared to like maybe the Series X, which is already, you're going to get all the backwards compatible Xbox One X games and all the enhanced Series X games. So like you get more backwards compatibility at the Series X. But as we move further and further away from backwards compatibility, the Series S will be like get better and better. So yeah, I think it's a really great console, and it was a really smart play of Microsoft to go for that because the silicon's much easier to get for it. Maybe did Microsoft have like inside information or something about the fact that they weren't going to be able to get chips for next gen systems? I don't know, but
I don't know either.
yeah.
Edward King says, didn't Sony sell their Square Enix shares in 2014? I thought maybe they did.
Sold some of them. Or maybe they did then. I don't know.
But I'm not.
But again, if they did, then it comes down purely to politics. Because I have heard again that Square Enix operates on quite a devolved model where like a lot of their independent studios have a lot of autonomy to choose their priorities and stuff. So Microsoft can throw all the money they want at corporate level, but they also need to get the individual studios online and cut through that corporate bureaucracy, which again needs bodies. They need people in Japan to evangelize the Xbox platform, and to get people into Japan to evangelize the Xbox platform, they need cash flow, which is what this Sega deal solves. So it's just a good thing all around.
You know what's a good thing, Jez?
What?
Halo Infinite.
Oh yeah, Halo Infinite. Yeah, it's a good thing.
So, well, it's one of my absolute pleasures to hear you come around on Halo as much as you have since we've been doing this show. It's funny because we've been doing this show for 4 years now, over 4 years, and during that whole time, you've just been talking smack about Halo. And finally,
a Lego game.
Yeah, and finally, we're going to be playing it soon. They did the re-reveal of the campaign overview last Monday, so this is our first chance to really get to talk to it. I haven't actually spoken to you about what you thought of the campaign reveal, so what do you think, Jez? Does what you saw, that 6 minutes overview, make you excited to play through the campaign, or are you once again being like, nah, man, Halo's not good?
Like, it definitely helped, I would say. Like, I'm someone who's super fatigued with the whole open world, go to this outpost, kill all the mobs and unlock thing. I'm really fatigued with that formula. I just really am. Especially after reviewing Far Cry 6, I was just like, I'm so fed up of this. Even watching the Elden Ring footage, which was incredible, by the way, on an artistic level, I couldn't help just be like, does every game have to be open world now? Is that just a thing now? But that being said, some of the fact that it isn't going to be sort of like a whole thing where you have to grind to unlock stuff, and it's going to sort of like, it's going to reward you more directly for exploration and stuff. Maybe that helps me, overcome some of my, I don't know what you call it, skepticism about open world fatigue. But at least like the combat looks really great, and the way that it flows with the different abilities, the fact that it's more dynamic from an engine perspective. Like, you can make different weapons interact with each other. Like, you can use the grappling hook to pick up weapons, and you can use vehicles and attach things to things. I suppose that gives me more hope that it'd be more interesting. Like, it gives you a degree of creativity that I feel you don't get in Far Cry, which is often very scripted in its weapons and systems, I think. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it, and obviously I'm going to play it. I'm not reviewing it for us, someone else is. But yeah, I'm optimistic for it. Campaign. I'm already on lock with the multiplayer. I know the multiplayer is going to be my go-to this year. But yeah, what did you think, man? Because you're like the big fan, right? Well, and also chat, tell us what you think.
Yeah, so Sonic Monkey just said, just wanted to say hi, Rand Jez, been listening for years, so I wanted to show my support by becoming a channel member. Love your work, Sydney, Australia. It always makes me smile when I see everybody like where they say they're listening from, whether it's from like
That's awesome.
Australia or from Italy or from any one of the states. I think it's Tennessee, that the one my sister moved to, although it'd be funny if it's not. Like, you don't know where your sister moved to. India, I think we had people listening from all over the world. It's always great. Yeah, chat, let us know what you think of the Halo campaign. So, Jez, I don't know how many times I've said this, like Halo, my favorite franchise. The question I did have about Halo Infinite was the campaign. And a lot of it was answered. Like, I think it looks better. And this also goes to, people were like, hey, the game looks better now. And then Alex from Digital Foundry says it doesn't really look better. And now everybody's like, it looks like trash on social media. It's like, of course. This always happens.
Of course.
As Lanzo says in chat, it looked great till Digital Foundry said it didn't. Now it's trash. That's 100% how all this works.
Oh, man.
So I like how cinematic it looks when the camera's detached and it's following Master Chief around. It really gives me that God of War vibe, that one-shot camera that we had all heard they were going for. So it definitely looks like a very cinematic campaign. Playing the multiplayer, you knew it was gonna play sublime. It's Halo, man. You can't really screw that up. But the additions of like the grapple shot and the repulsor and all the equipment is gonna make the playing through the campaign a blast, because you can do so many different things with it, right? My only question now is are those still equipment pickups in the campaign? Like, can you only use one or the other? And I'm not really sure. I've seen some people say that it looks like you can use all those at any point in time. They're just on like countdown timers, which would be really cool. Like, if you're playing through the campaign and you always have the grapple shot to use, that's really cool, because you basically have a bungee cord that you could use to fling yourself around at any point in time if you want. So we'll see how that plays out. I did the upgrades thing where you can make yourself better. The story, like I'm interested in what happening to Cortana, like what's going on with everything there. Is the Flood gonna return? All that stuff. The what?
The Flood, they better return.
I mean, they'll probably return at the end I could totally see a scenario, Jez, where like the Flood returns at the end. Like you finish off the story, right? But the tease for season 2 is the return of the Flood. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Opethian says in chat, yeah, the equip is on cooldown, which is cool. So you can basically swap through the equipment. You don't have to choose. You can just kind of use whichever one you want, which is awesome. Because you mentioned before that you had heard that like Halo Infinite was going to kind of be like Master Chief, for like, here's this campaign, and then maybe a couple years later, boom, here's like the sequel, and it'll just like show up. So
that was just speculation. Like I don't know exactly how they're handling that story model, but I don't know. I suppose this one of the things they're trying to look at is, how do you make a single player game in a sort of service driven world? Like, how do you do that? And I suppose Halo Infinite is the first game that's going to really try to do this in any sort of big budget kind of way. Halo Infinite's budget has been absolutely astronomical, so like they're going to need to like get that money back somehow, and Halo being a platform is how they're going to do that. Adding value to Xbox Game Pass, selling stuff through the game, cosmetics, whatever. Like this Halo Infinite's not going away. We're getting this for like at least a decade, I would say. Probably for the rest of the gen, we're going to be Halo Infinite, I would think. It's going to be an interesting ride. But they're also looking at games like Destiny. They're looking at games like Fortnite, even with the whole in-game events thing for single player. Like, can you imagine like if they do sort of in-game event that's a single player thing? Like that. Those are the kind of creative cloud synchronous things they're looking at for Halo Infinite. Like, it could be terrible. Like, it could just completely flop, but it also could just be like totally amazing. Like, I remember, Rand, because the whole like, it's funny because everyone credits Fortnite with being the sort of the first company that did in-game events, but that's utter bullshit. Like, games have been doing it for decades, and I distinctly remember being like a little kid. Well, I say little kid. I suppose like a teenager, you would say. I remember being a teenager playing World of Warcraft, and like there was stuff that had happened in that game, which was like a eureka moment for the industry. Like the universities still study this event to this day, because there was a bug. There was a bug in World of Warcraft which created a real life. It created a disease in game that spread like a real life disease would spread, and this bug became like an in-game event by accident. It was just crazy, and I remember being there when that happened. To this day, it was like such a cool experience, because what happened was Blizzard added a boss to World of Warcraft. Like, man, it's got to be about 16, 15 years ago now. They added a boss to World of Warcraft that had this ability which gave you a disease. And but unfortunately, they made it so like the disease stayed with your character even if you teleported back to a home city. So when people left the dungeon, they spread the disease to other players, and the disease just started spreading around the whole like city where everyone was standing around. And like, if you were a low level player, you just get one shotted by this disease. And when players die in World of Warcraft, they leave a little skeleton behind, and the cities were just full of skeletons. Like, there was just bodies everywhere. It looked like it was like COVID. People say like real life, real life COVID. Man, I'm getting confused between real life and in game now. But it was like a real pandemic, and like universities studied it. They were like, man, this is crazy. Like, this would happen in a game. Yeah. Flame says it's called the corrupted blood. That was the disease. It gave you it pulsed, and every pulse you infected someone else that was standing near to you, just like COVID. And that was like an in-game event, but it was by accident, And for years, Blizzard tried to do events that were that cool, that dynamic, and they sort of emulated that when they released Wrath of the Lich King. Like, the Lich King came and he added like a disease to players which infected other players and turned them into zombies and stuff. So Blizzard were a bit of a pioneer in that space. But then, even then, studios had done it even before Blizzard. So, but I kind of see them going that direction for Halo Infinite. Like, they're gonna have like in-game events that aren't just like PvE things. They'll probably do story beats. Like, something crazy is gonna happen. Like, they'll announce it. Like, they'll announce it. They'll announce it like on Twitter and start teasing it with some. This is just what I'm imagining, by the way. I have no idea if they're going to do this. They'll start teasing it on Twitter. They'll do like the whole ARG thing, like saying like spreading around like, I don't know, like radio comms or something. And then there'll be an event where on this day or this weekend there'll be a boss fight. There'll be a boss fight inside Halo Infinite's campaign, which you can play. You can kill with 4 friends. And then like you get some like skins or something that you only get if you're there for that event. I think they're going to do things like that with Halo Infinite, and like, it could be terrible, it could fall on its face, and it could be lame, or it could be really awesome. Kind of like how I remember, some of the events in World of Warcraft, like even like a decade later, as being awesome. Like, Rand, you remember, like, if they do this epic boss fight, and the only time you can do this boss fight is this specific weekend, say, for example, the only time you can get this skin, everyone who sees you in the next 10 years with that skin or that accessory or whatever, they'll know you were there. You were there at the start.
But Jez, wouldn't it be so much better if that skin was an NFT, so it was mine and
maybe that too. Oh Jesus!
Yeah, no, don't give him any ideas. No. Chris R says some people were upset that didn't show the same area, but those same people would be mad if they didn't show a comparison. Can't win. That is true. I mean, most of the only thing we've seen from the campaign has basically been that Pacific Northwest looking area with the trees. People want to see if there's a desert area or a snow level or different biomes, right? And they're a little bit worried that they're only showing off, what looks like the same area. So we'll find out eventually. And we got Sicka Mechanico from Xbox Era saying, I'm sending some, pounds? Because Rand had the audacity to claim I wasn't supportive and it hurt my feelings. Wink. Love you guys. Yeah, I went on. Really? Well, yeah, so Xbox Era, I think 2 weeks ago, they had Jeffrey Grub on, and I was just like, listen, Like, why is it I always
Grub.
support Xbox Era with my super chats, but Nick and John never do? You know, and I was like, oh, by the way, thanks for stopping by the show, Grub. Please leak something I care about, because he had leaked that MMO game or whatever, or from that company. But yeah, so
The mainframe game.
the mainframe game, yes. So
Yeah. It might
um,
not be an MMO. It might be another cloud PvE game like Halo Infinite. You don't know yet.
Darnell Hill says there are more than one biome. Stop the lies. Did I lie? I just saying people want to see them. I'm not saying there's one biome. I'm saying people want to see the biome. It makes it seem like there's just one, you know? Dave says, I've heard the word biome more this year than I ever heard before. That's the new buzzword, man. Biomes. Yeah.
Biome.
Mancurian Devil
first
says,
time I
Jez
heard
on
biome
camera
was,
for Unlocked, but not for Xbox 2? Yeah, we got to know camera.
It'd be weird if only I was on camera. You've got to be on camera too.
I'd have to also change how everything's set up too. If you only, yeah, so we both have to be on camera, but
we can totally do that. Like, I'm down to go on camera now that I've lost 90 pounds.
Yeah.
I wasn't before, but now I am.
It's because now you're sexy looking, so you want.
But
it was
you. It was you originally who inspired me to lose weight, because you lost all that weight the other year, and then I was like, well, I'm going to lose weight too then. So it's thanks to you, really.
I'll take credit for that. But yeah, like the other thing about the trailer is obviously the stuff that's a little bit more open world-ish about like the strongholds and the keeps. You know, some people liken that to like the forts or whatever in Far Cry, and they wonder how much is in the game. So we'll see. We'll see. We don't got that much longer to wait for Halo Infinite. I'm super excited. We know the campaign's going to be a blast. The questions about the we know the multiplayer is going to be a blast. Hopefully the campaign's going to be really good. But Jez, there's also those accounts that kind of look at like like Walking Cat, right? He kind of like, I don't know what exactly does, but he finds stuff on the Xbox store, right?
Yeah, there is a method to find things that have just hit the Xbox store. I don't know exactly what the method is, but some people on Windows Central know how to do it.
The one and only Pong Soul says, hey, when can we expect # the Xbox 2 metaverse with NFT currency, and how many biomes will it have?
50 biomes.
Yeah. What was I saying? What was I just talking about, Jez? I completely just blanked.
I'm talking about Walking Cat. Walking Cat's...
oh, yeah. So they discovered a bundle called like Early Access Halo Infinite. And it was a bundle that came with the multiplayer. So there's been some discussion about what that could potentially mean, right? So it seems like there's at least something that will give you early access to just the multiplayer. So, Jez.
Interesting.
So, you tell me what you think this is, and I'll tell you what I think it is. What's your guess?
Well,
an early access bundle that gives you like some DLC and what presumably is early access to the multiplayer.
I mean, looking at what they've done with Forza, I can see it being like an Xbox Game Pass thing. Game Pass Ultimate gives you early access, something like that. That would be my take on it. What would be your take on it, Rand?
See, I've thought about that like you. Like we've seen how successful early access can be. Like everybody's posting screenshots of playing Forza right now. Everybody's having a blast. You know, some people put $100 down for the Ultimate Edition and play it early. Some people probably just bought the $50 premium add-on and are playing it through Game Pass, and they're having a blast. And it's like, okay, we know Halo Infinite's got free-to-play multiplayer. And I'm sure Microsoft's like, how can we get people to pay to play the free-to-play multiplayer? And what better way to do that than by offering some sort of form of early access where then people can pay whatever amount of money to play a free-to-play multiplayer early. The question is, it's like, I'm just not sure how it's going to be implemented, right? So the game comes out on the 8th, which is a Wednesday. How long how are we talking, like 4 days? So would that be Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday? So like if it was like Forza, if you spent, I don't know, $100, you got early access, right? Like, because presumably they'd be like, if you want to play Halo, $60 for the campaign, it's free to play, but this is like the ultimate version and it comes with early access. So if you give us $100, you can play multiplayer 4 days early, even though it's free, but you still get access to the campaign. Or maybe it's something that you can just cheap by itself. It's like, hey, it's just a campaign, or it's just a multiplayer. You can throw us $30. You can play it 4 days early. It definitely seems like when it's grouped in something called like the early access digital bundle, that it's something you have to pay for, right? But then I thought, like, what if Xbox just surprises everybody? And at the end of the 20th anniversary stream, they're just like, by the way, if you have Game Pass, you can play Halo Infinite's multiplayer right now. All you got to do is just download the early access bundle if you're a Game Pass member, and you can play Halo Infinite right now today.
That would be very interesting if that was true, wouldn't it, Rand?
It would be, but I'm like, that's like pie in the sky thinking, though, Jez.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing. Can you say anything?
I mean, yes and no. Like, yeah, like there's a part of me that is like, would they really do that and launch the multiplayer 3 weeks before the game actually comes out, when they've always said from the beginning they weren't going to split it? Would people view that as splitting? They certainly couldn't charge people to play it that early. Like, hey, by the way, you know, this 20th anniversary is all about Halo and Xbox, and we got a surprise for you. You can play Halo Infinite today, and by the way, give us $30 and you can do it. Like, it wouldn't really feel good if they were charging for it. Maybe it makes more sense if it was like, hey, if you're a Game Pass member, you can play. But it's like, I don't know, 3 weeks is a long lead time. So then there's part of me that's like, that can't really be true. But I mean, like, the listing for the, you know, that listing is real, so there is some sort of early access. So maybe it's like 2 days. Maybe the game comes out on the 8th and early access begins on the 6th, that Monday. But then it's like, well, what's 2 days early access worth? I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of looking through all the scenarios, and I kind of want to see what other people think. Chat, what do you think? What are you expecting from this early access? Are we going to get multiplayer access a couple days, 4 days, like Forza, or is there potential for a big surprise reveal at the 20th anniversary? You know, that would be a pretty hype moment if they were just like, by the way, you can play Halo today, right now. Here's the multiplayer. Go have fun. And the campaign would have to wait to the 8th. I just don't know how people would react to that. But
I totally see that happening. They just shadow drop it. I believe that. But you know, it might just be like, maybe they'll call it a beta or something. I don't know.
I mean, maybe there'll be another like
open beta, maybe
flight or something they'll do. But yeah. Andy Hart says, will there ever be VR on Xbox? The market is there. What do you think, Jez? VR ever on Xbox?
Nope. The market is not there. I don't believe the market is there, personally. Nah, like, VR is just like, people always say there's a market for VR. There really isn't. Like, if you look at the actual numbers, the only company that's made any money from VR is Beat Saber. That's the only game that's made serious money from VR, because they can sell the music packs. Everyone gets a VR headset and all they play is Beat Saber, because all the other games just make you sick. Like, I doubt Half-Life Alyx broke even, personally. I don't think there is a market there. I don't think there will be VR on Xbox, and I think VR will fade into obscurity like the fad it is in a few years. It's 3D TV all over again, I think. So I don't think you will see VR on Xbox, personally. It's a very small market. It's a tiny market.
Yeah.
Until they can figure out a way until they can figure out a type of VR that A, doesn't make people feel sick, B, you don't even need to wear a headset. no one's ever gonna. That's never gonna see any serious uptake. You know, if single player games are a difficult market to crack, VR is even 10 times harder. So if you want console VR, you got to get a PlayStation because it's never come to Xbox. I don't think it's super niche. And like as long Facebook, as long as Facebook exists, Facebook decides the narrative on VR. It's going to be even harder for it to grow because everyone hates Facebook now. So when it comes to enthusiasts who don't want to be involved in Facebook in any way, shape, or form, that also limits the market, I think. Yeah, I don't think you'll see it VR on Xbox, basically.
Yeah. Let's see. Supernova says, do you see that not adding ray tracing technology to Halo Infinite after your delay is kind of poor care for a product from Studio 343? I know a lot of people are upset that ray tracing's not there, and they think like it wasn't going to be there at launch, so then it got delayed, then it should be there. I'm
of the opinion that maybe they're waiting for the implementation of an update to the Xbox platform, because there is like some new APIs coming from AMD to help with ray tracing. So I'm of the opinion that I don't know this is speculation. I'm of the opinion that to delay something like that may be tied up to a platform update. That's my personal belief. Don't know if it's true, but I don't know. I suppose I could ask around and see what people say.
Yeah. Nathaniel says Halo Sandbox is way more versatile than Far Cry, so it shouldn't be boring. I'm hoping the enemy encampments don't take up the good portion of the game. I mean, yeah, me too. Oh, and Jez, I just got an update about the early access thing.
Oh.
Basically, guys telling me that it means nothing. So, yeah, it means it's not what you think it means, essentially.
Okay.
So,
okay.
No early access for Halo, so enjoy it on December 8th, That's why, like, when people are like, oh, Rand's predictions, quote, like, it's just a prediction. Like, I thought, like, oh, well, they called it early access, that means that's what it is. But yeah, I guess that's not what it is. So,
Well, it's fun to speculate. I do think that'd be awesome, though, if it did, like, drop in early, or if there was an open beta or something, because... I've been playing Call of Duty Vanguard through the podcast, and I just keep thinking, man, I wish this was Halo, because Call of Duty Vanguard is not good. It is super laggy, and it feels like I'm playing... actually, it literally feels like I'm playing a game from 10 years ago, and you know why? Because the maps from Call of Duty World at War are here. Yeah, so I literally am playing a game from 10 years ago. That is hilarious.
Space Dovican says Call of Duty is looking weak. Maybe Halo can launch early. I mean, I think Halo probably still needs a little bit more time, Well, it probably doesn't. Well, they haven't announced it's gold yet, so, right? They haven't announced that's gold, so they're maybe still working on it.
Yeah, maybe.
They gave it its launch date December 8th, so I would imagine a month from now, people will be tired of this Call of Duty, and it'll be all about Halo. I mean, we got Battlefield coming soon, so there's that as well. So by the time people will be burnt out playing Call of Duty and Battlefield, it'll be time for the Return of the King.
Return of the King.
And
what, Overwatch 2?
What?
You said it was time for Return of the King, and I said, what, Overwatch 2?
No, Overwatch 2. Well, no, because Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 have been delayed again, this time to 2023. Jez, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I think Blizzard has made a tragic mistake with Overwatch by making Overwatch 2 instead of just building Overwatch as a platform like literally every other game that's successful. Rainbow Six Siege, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Warzone, Grand Theft Auto 5. Why are they making a sequel? Why didn't they just pour everything into They literally killed Overwatch, and now it's not coming out for another year. No wonder nobody wants to work at that. Well, like, how does that make you feel to see a game that you loved? You loved Overwatch, and it's now just, it is what it is, I guess.
They're basically Destiny to Overwatch. Like, Destiny did not need a sequel. And but Activision demanded it because that's their business model. Their business model's Activision want their cake and eat. They want to have their cake and eat it. They want to have free to play elements. They want to have pay to win elements. They also want the retail model. They want everything. Activision is super greedy. But this time the greed's really caught them out because Overwatch does not really work as a sequelized game in this climate. And neither did Destiny. Like Bungie is still struggling with the fallout from having to make a sequel. Destiny should never have had a sequel. It should have just built on the first game, made an MMO, whatever. But, Activision being Activision, their greed got the better of them as usual, and then GG. Now it's Blizzard. We got Diablo 4 in development hell. We got Overwatch 2 in development hell. We've got a whole studio in turmoil. It's a staggering fall. Like it's like Cyberpunk times a billion. It's really bad and sad, actually. Because there is a lot of people at Blizzard who don't deserve to suffer because of Activision's greed. Obviously, there are people at Activision Blizzard who are scum. Bobby Kotick being one of them. But most of the staff, they didn't deserve this. They just wanted to work for a studio that made games that were amazing and that they loved and stuff like that. And now we've got a bunch of games in development hell because of Activision being greedy fucks. So, it makes me mad. It makes me mad. It makes me mad.
Andy Hart says Forza 5 has no ray tracing even on PC. Overrated. Yeah. Jez, you see the PlayStation news? Got the PlayStation PC branding now.
Oh yeah, PlayStation Mobile rebranded to PlayStation PC. So those don't know, like Sony used to release its games under its mobile brand, because it didn't really have a PC brand before. But now they've been like, yeah, we should probably have a PC brand. So yeah, that's what we've got now. I don't think you would bother with the rebrand unless you were going to go hard on PC, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was some more of the. Did you see the more recent GeForce leaks or whatever the heck they were?
GeForce.
GeForce.
Yeah, and GeForce. They are leaky bastards. Nvidia GeForce. So
they said it said Gear 6 was coming out next year, but I don't believe that.
Yeah, that's not true. Like I did see a couple of launch dates for games that I know for a fact aren't coming out next year. So a lot of the data in that spreadsheet is speculative, but I don't think some of the game you can't ignore all of it because there is a lot of stuff in there that is true. And a lot of the games in there was like God of War for PC and games that haven't. Not God of War, sorry. Like games that haven't even been announced for PC that are probably coming to PC now as part of the PlayStation push into PC. Do you think the era of people being able to say PlayStation exclusives or console only is over now? Are we just going to start? Is it just going to get gradually more and more to the point where PlayStation is a one-to-one match of Xbox's strategy regarding PC?
I mean, I think all PlayStation games will be on PC. I think every single one of them. I think from your Horizons to your God of Wars to your Gran Turismos to your Last of Us. I think every single one of those games will be on PC. And they're not going to keep their 2 to 3 year window. Like, I think you'll see 1 year windows, maybe as low as 6 months for now. And eventually they'll be day and date, years from now. I mean, that leak had, Horizon Forbidden West there, and Ratchet and Clank, and Returnal, and Demon Souls, and Sackboy, and like, it's just the whole thing is like the games are getting more expensive to make, but the problem is that they sell basically the same amount they always have, so profit margins basically get they start to shrink every year, and PlayStation games typically don't have any microtransactions, so it's not like you can continuously get more money like you could in like Sea of Thieves, or I mean, how much money EA's pulling in from Apex Legends or FIFA, right? So it's like these games sell a set amount to the same people, and sure, it's 20 million people, but it's the same amount. And as we talked about before, investors want perpetual growth. God of War 1 sold 20 million copies. God of War 2 needs to sell 30 million copies. It's not good enough for it to only sell another 20 million, right? But what you can do is you can tap that audience on PC that wants to play that game. Now, you've been putting your games on PC 2 to 3 years later, and maybe the sales have been muted. I think there's some info that came out. I don't know how valid it is that like Horizon, the first Horizons sold almost 2 million. Like Days Gone sold almost 2 million on PC. And some people are saying, well, is that really enough? And it's like, well, I think 2 million, for a 4-year-old game or a 3-year-old game is pretty good. But imagine how much it would sell on PC if you could launch it, say, 6 months later or a year later. It'd be a lot more than 2 million. How much would you get if you actually launched it day and date? Because I don't think the PC sales would take away from the console sales. I think
I don't think so.
I think it'd just be additive, and then you add in like the potential to go mobile. Like then you start to really open up the audience to the content. So in my view, PlayStation PC is just the rebranding of something that it's just going to be second. It'll be like Xbox fans had to come to terms with it when, Quantum Break came to PC, and then some people struggled with it, and then they were okay, fine, it's the Windows 10 store, and then they put everything on Steam, and some people were upset, but everyone came to recognize it's whatever. It's only good because Microsoft makes money, they make more games, which is exactly what we want. And that's kind of what's going on here. So Sony's just...
I know Sony's games on PC.
It's just free money, man. It's what it is. I think Sony's going to realize that they aren't cannibalizing their own sales on their console, that people are going to still buy the PS5s in droves because of it, because PC guys are PC dudes. Like, they're not going to buy your console to play their games. Like, they're PC dudes for a reason. And so if you can offer them the game closer to the release, you're going to sell a lot more copies. And that's how you grow. As Jim Ryan says, he's frustrated. He's frustrated, Jez, that his games only sell 10 to 20 million. He's frustrated. That frustrates him.
It should, because you got to think, right? As of right now, there's only Sony and Nintendo are really bottlenecked by the chip shortage. Because Microsoft software, they put it up straight on PC day and day. So Sony's like, oh, well, we're making all these games and people want PlayStations, but we literally cannot sell them to meet demand because there's no chips. So all of our games are being bottlenecked. I mean, there's an argument to be made that they could just keep delaying the games to make them better because eventually, when they do hit capacity or whatever, they'll make more money or whatever. But because right now, any games they sell is basically going to be bottlenecked by the install base or lack thereof. Like they need to access like last gen. They need to keep accessing last gen to keep selling them too. Whereas Microsoft, they have the entire retail market of PC gaming to tap into. So, of course, from a growth perspective, Sony's probably really frustrated about it. I mean, they've said as much, and them moving to support PC basically frees them up to not have to rely entirely on consoles which are bottlenecked by the lack of bloody processors, which Intel says could last all the way through to 2024 nowadays.
You know what I was
crazy.
thinking?
No chips till 2024.
You know what I was thinking also, Jez, is if you're thinking about going mobile, right? If you're thinking about cloud streaming, Microsoft is using Series X blades for their cloud infrastructure, right? The console is the cloud, correct?
Yes.
If you're Sony, maybe it'd be more beneficial for you to have your cloud games be the PC versions of your own games. Instead of putting PS5s in the cloud, why not just build the PC version and stream that version?
Yeah.
So that could be their whole, also another part of their initiative of why they would invest in PC is they don't have to basically put PS5s into the cloud. They can sell as many PS5s as they have to as many customers as they possibly can, but then you start working more closely PC and build those versions and then offer those versions as the basic, the streaming versions on, PSN Now or whatever, or, iOS and Android. That could be their
I've got a
solution.
feeling I know. I got a feeling I know where you're going with this. Are you saying they partner with NVIDIA GeForce for streaming instead of make their own cloud?
Well, I mean, weren't they partnering with Microsoft? Like, remember they
Yeah,
made
I don't
that
think
they
that's no.
what? You don't think
I
that
don't.
deal?
I don't think. I mean, we've heard nothing about that. I don't think anything was ever going to happen there. Frankly,
Mm.
there's. I honestly think that whole thing was really weird because Microsoft made a big song and dance about it. Sony was just like, whatever. They didn't even talk about it really. So God knows that is a really strange one for me. I don't know what's going on there. But for me, if I'm Sony, partnering with NVIDIA GeForce makes way more sense for a lot of reasons. A, you're not helping your competitor. B, NVIDIA GeForce, arguably is better than xCloud right now. Like, it's more performant. It uses NVIDIA's industry-leading AI to, for the video encoding, which leads to a better stream, more responsive. Microsoft looks to NVIDIA GeForce as its primary competitor in cloud right now. So I think there's a deal where there's a logic to Sony just being like, well, why don't we just make those games for PC, put them on NVIDIA GeForce, use NVIDIA GeForce either as our vehicle for those titles, like whether it's just the Sony service like PlayStation Now, or whether they just leverage NVIDIA GeForce and partner up on it or something. I think that makes a lot more sense probably, but I don't know. Could be wrong. But I haven't heard of anything going on with that Sony Microsoft deal.
Yeah, they haven't really
that
talked.
seems to just turn into nothing.
That's like 2 years, so they hasn't really talked about it. But either way, yeah, you could be right. But even still, like if they're gonna partner with GeForce, like that's just the PC versions. That's so
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it could work out like that, but it'd be really interesting to see. Like you take a look like Horizon Forbidden West. What's the time frame for that to come to PC? Because judging from that leak, it's 7 months. Horizon Forbidden West comes out in February, and that leak says it's coming out on PC in like September, which is a short time frame. And people said that wouldn't happen. People were like, it's going to be 2 to 3 years, but I don't think it's going to be 2 to 3 years. I think it's going to be pretty fast. So. Yeah, I mean they're branding. They're basically extending all the PC, and it's like we knew this was going to happen. I mean, this is where the industry's moving, but some people didn't want to believe it, and well, now they do. So, came on. Williams says 343 was silly to go with 4K 120 with worse visuals. Console players don't actually care about frames. 1440p and 60 would have been smarter. I actually care about frames. And I like the idea of 120 frames in multiplayer. I'm pretty sure the single player is not going to go up to 120. It's just 60 in the single player. The multiplayer is where frames matter, and it's 120. So I'm a console player, and I absolutely do care about frame rate. Jez was the one last year who didn't. Jez was the whole leader of the filmic movement and 30 frames per second until he got to experience 60 frames in every game. And then suddenly 30 frames is horrible.
I was playing Forza Horizon earlier in filmic mode because it has a filmic mode. I don't know if you saw this. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I got to be on 60.
Yeah,
everything's got to be at least 60 now.
At least. And Andy Hart says he thinks ray tracing is overrated, which a lot of people do.
Yeah, it hasn't really delivered on its promises yet.
Jeff Grubb says, Jez, to you, it's not about Xbox. It's not about the Xbox Cloud. It's about Azure tools. But yeah, Sony does have a relationship with GeForce now. So there you go.
Roger.
By the way, Jeff, the leak war is on between you and Jez. Jez leaked the name of Project Missouri. I don't know if you've heard it yet, or has it been reported anywhere? But Jez one upped you and leaked the name of the game. So now you gotta leak something in return. We gotta have the battle go back and forth.
Leak a tennis.
Yeah. Jeff served it to you, and then you volleyed it back to him. So now he's got to hit it back to you. So,
Oh dear.
Jason Spears says, I understand a digital world, but why wasn't the $99 DLC Steelbook of Forza not offered? Was this a Game Pass early access move? I understand you are all digital. Yeah, I'm all digital. Does Forza normally offer a $100 Steelbook? I know there's a $100 Ultimate Edition, but is there a physical version of that, or is it only digital? I'm not really sure. So I don't really pay attention to what goes on in the in the physical space because I literally only are digital. So, was the $100 version of that not like available to purchase physically? I'd imagine it'd be available on Amazon. I don't know. I guess not. So, Jez, tell me about Facebook and how much you love them, and you think their name change to Meta is so great, and you can't wait to use their products again.
Man, Facebook. What is Facebook even? Facebook's like the most dystopian company ever. And Zuckerberg's the creepiest little piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. What a joke of a company, man. But anyway, yeah, Facebook changed its name to Meta. I don't know if you saw this as well, Rand. This is relevant for gaming. But Facebook Gaming is now the second biggest gaming platform, overtaking YouTube gaming. So you're gonna switch to Facebook Gaming, Rand? Should we switch to Facebook Gaming for the podcast? I don't think so.
I don't know. I've always been told by people that the engagement on Facebook is fake.
Ah, right. That's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyways, yeah, Facebook is rebranded to Meta because it thinks the next phase of the internet is everyone putting on a VR headset and taking like Zoom calls in 3D virtual reality. What do you think of this, Rand? Can you see a world where we do the podcast in Zuckerberg's Zuckerverse with virtual reality headsets on?
Did you watch his little thing? It was like most overproduced, overscripted cringe. Like Jeff Zuckerberg is not human, or yeah, that's his name, Mark Zuckerberg. He's not human. Like he's
a robot.
He's an alien from another planet or whatever. Like you can't watch that thing and think to yourself, yeah, I want what he's selling me. Like he's a snake oil salesman. He's the definition of it. No.
You know what cracks me up about it is, it's the equivalent of Microsoft rebranding itself to Windows Phone, because like the metaverse is just going to fail really badly. Like I don't know what planet Mark Zuckerberg lives on if he thinks anyone is gonna want to put on a VR headset to do non-VR things. I don't know what fucking planet he lives on if he thinks that's gonna happen. Not only that, he thinks that people are gonna put on a VR headset and give all their health data to Facebook and like let Facebook track your eyes, what you're looking at. Do you really want Facebook tracking your eyes? That's the fucking last thing I'd ever imagine I would want for me or my family. So I think Zuckerberg is smoking something really hard because the metaverse is the biggest failure of tech bullshit hype I've ever seen in my life. It's just garbage fire, man.
But then Microsoft then come out and say like they want to do meta stuff with like Halo and Minecraft and whatever.
Well, what they were saying was that they were trying to change the narrative because Zuckerberg is trying to define what the metaverse is and means. He's trying to literally put Facebook's mark on it before it's even a thing, right? But Microsoft is kind of like, well, we already have products in this space. Like Minecraft technically is a product in that space where Microsoft, you can make a business living through Minecraft. You can sell Minecraft mods and make a business. There are businesses that are valued at over $1 million. Literally all they do is make Minecraft maps, right? So that's the idea of a metaverse, is Facebook owning the hardware you access the internet to, the platform you access the internet to, the retail flow, so they take a cut of everything that's on it. That's what Facebook's idea of a metaverse is. And Microsoft already has a bunch of products like that, Minecraft being one, Xbox being another. But I don't know. They're trying to like reinvent the wheel and create a product to solve a problem that no one has. No one is sitting there thinking, you know what, I'd make this Zoom call better. You know what? You know what would make it better is if it was in VR. You know, if this Skype call, if this podcast was in VR, I'm sure it'd be way better, Rand. That's what Zuckerberg's mentality is, which is just laughable. It's just absolutely laughable. And the thing is, all the products they showed, Microsoft's already done. They've already tried this. In Windows Mixed Reality, there's like a fake mansion. There's like a fake home space you can walk around in to launch programs and apps in the Microsoft Store. Nobody gave a fuck. Literally nobody cared. And nobody's going to care about this either. No matter how much money they spend, they're hiring 10,000 developers to work on this. 10,000 developers who could be working on green energy. They could be working on cures for, infectious diseases. They could be working on anything useful. But no, they're working on products for Zuckerberg's fucking ego. Makes me so angry, right? I just hate the guy. I really hate him. I almost dropped the C-bomb on the podcast, which would have been a time. First time for this show. But there really is no other word to describe Zuckerberg than the C word. I think he's an evil little bitch. And I hope he just goes away and we never hear from him ever again. But that's my take on Meta. What's your take on Meta, Rand?
I understand why they want to do it. They think it's the next big thing. I think it's going to blow up in their face, at least now, because if you want people to do VR for daily stuff, that thing needs to be super cheap and basically be a pair of glasses you put on. Nobody's going to put on a $300. A regular grandma on Facebook who shares her anti-vax rhetoric on Facebook is not putting on a headset to go meet in a square with other, people on Facebook. Like, that needs to be super cheap and basically just glasses you put on. So no, I don't really see it taking off. Maybe in 20 years when the technology becomes more streamlined, possibly, because I think people are more involved in their digital lives more than ever than their physical lives. I think maybe you'll get there at some point, but I think we're too early there because VR is still not widely accepted. It's still kind of in its infancy, and it's still too expensive and has too many wires.
And maybe it still makes you sick.
Yeah, maybe one day in the future, but not right now. So, but you know what's gonna make gaming better though, Jez?
What?
If I go buy a skin for my character that I own as an NFT on the blockchain.
No, Rand, no.
Yeah, because EA and Ubisoft have both come out this week and said that they think the NFTs and the blockchain are the future of the video game industry. And doesn't that just fill you with just dread? Doesn't that just fill you with unease that the company that came up with loot boxes and Ultimate Teams is already thinking about how to squeeze you dry with NFTs? Doesn't that just make you feel like if that takes on, then like the greed that these companies, that what they'll do in the future with this industry is just going to be completely awful. But then you'll have look, I have friends I talk to all the time, all up in NFTs, bro. Like, they love that, but they viewed it more as an investment. Like, I bought it and I'm going to be able to sell it for whatever amount down the road. I still don't understand, because they try to tell me how it's going to benefit gaming, and I don't understand how it can benefit gaming. Like, they talk about, a reasonable second-hand place market, or a reasonable second-hand marketplace for you to sell your stuff, and I'm just like, but places like, you can already spend real money in Warframe and get real money back with things. Like, Diablo 3 was doing the auction house, years ago, and, you didn't need NFTs for, I don't understand what NFT brings to games that would make it better than it currently is, other than just pure greed from the companies and someone trying to basically bring the stock market mentality, investing mentality into video games right now. I don't know. Maybe chat can explain it to me. Maybe you can. I'm what do you guys think?
A lot of it is speculative, right? A lot of it is what is the use going to be the use for this one day? And people are thinking maybe one day we won't need glasses to access the metaverse. We'll just have a brain implant and we'll just teleport into a like imaginary world where like we can like hang out and play cards or whatever. And it'll move beyond VR glasses, and it'll move towards something that you just like a little chip patch you stick on your neck or something. And in a world where people access the web as easily as they're doing games like Cyberpunk or Deus Ex Human Mankind Divided or whatever, where you can just access the internet by thinking about it, digital ownership of something is going to matter, right? The only way you can verify digital ownership of something really is through the blockchain, which is like a decentralized, supposedly incorruptible platform, because it's like, it's all algorithmic or whatever, and it's indestructible. It's like if the blockchain says you own this, it's indestructible. But you'd have to destroy the entire blockchain to like render that ownership of that digital token muted, from what I understand about it. And as such, someone can be like, no, you can't use that skin. I own that skin. And it'd be like, yeah, you've got a cheap copy of that skin. Like it's equivalent to having a print of a Mona Lisa versus having the real thing. That's basically what it is. And the assumption is that NFTs will be like the authenticity mechanism that the internet doesn't have right now. Now, you and me, we can just think it's a load of bullshit, but I already think our ownership is a load of bullshit. Like, in what universe would I want to own an original Mona Lisa? I don't know. But people who do want to own art and whatever, they do think it's a big deal. And as pertains to gaming, which is really what we're here to talk about, they're thinking of it in terms of, how to monetize user-generated content. So a lot of companies have started looking at games like Minecraft, where Microsoft makes a ton of money controlling the digital marketplace for maps and mods on Minecraft. Companies make maps and mods for Minecraft, and they have to pay Microsoft a cut of that money, but then they can make $1 million business out of it. Lots of companies do this. Look it up. And they make a lot of money selling Minecraft mods. And even before then, we had a game called Second Life, where people were selling real estate in game, which was kind of like a whole Sims MMO kind of thing. And people, the Jakester says, the Mona Lisa, my favorite painting from Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. My favorite painting from Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh man, that's brilliant. But they're thinking like blockchain will be a way for like, say for example, I don't know. Say for example, a celebrity makes a livery for Forza. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Say like Kim Kardashian decides one day, you know what, I'm going to play Forza, and Kim Kardashian makes a livery for a car in Forza, and it's like part of some big marketing thing. Like say for example, I don't know, Ford has a new car, and as part of this promotion for this car, there's an official Kim Kardashian livery for the car. Now anyone can use a copy of the livery for the car, but the person who owns the NFT for the livery, they'll be the true owner of the livery Kim Kardashian made of that car. That's what the blockchain determines. Who owns the original, the official version of that livery? And there'll be like a livery auction house where people bid on rare liveries like the Kim Kardashian Ford livery, and stuff like that. That's what they're thinking is the next phase of user-generated content in video games. It's the proof of a digital sort of entity, or the authenticity of a digital entity. That's basically what they're saying. Like you can even use Halo Infinite as an example. Like, for example, Rand, here's a great example, right? Earlier, we were talking about Halo Infinite, right? And how maybe there'll be an event in Halo Infinite where there's a boss, and only that weekend you can fight that boss, right, Rand?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Only that weekend you'll be able to fight the boss, and only that weekend will you be able to get the skin from killing that boss. So say 1,000 people fight the boss that weekend. Well, it'd probably be way more than that. Say 1,000,000 people kill the boss that weekend, and they get the special skin you can only get that weekend for playing Halo Infinite. Now, Rand, imagine, Rand, that skin is also an NFT in the blockchain, right? And imagine one day, you want to sell that skin because you don't want to own it anymore. You're like, maybe you quit games or whatever. And maybe there's some crazy rich people who want to launder some money. Maybe there's a drug dealer who's like, you know what? Shit, I need to hide some of my assets. I know, I'll buy Rand Thor's NFT Halo Infinite skin, and that's how I'll launder my money. And then the IRS is like, oh, they don't have like a load of money stashed in a suitcase. they simply have it stored in this NFT, the official Rand Thor copy of this Halo Infinite skin. I can't believe how ridiculous this sounds to say it out loud, but that is literally basically the mentality they have. They'll be able to monetize NFTs, and like, I don't know, maybe EA gets a cut of the official EA NFT market or something. I don't bloody well know, but that's where that's where all this shit is going, and it's all speculative because if you watch Deus Ex Mankind Divided and Cyberpunk and all cybernetic, genre sci-fi, the mentality is that one day we'll all be permanently connected through some kind of brain implant. In a world where we're all permanently connected through some brain implant, the official ownership of a digital item will actually have way more value. So that's,
what,
NFTs and blockchain in a nutshell.
That description of me getting a Halo skin and then selling it to a Colombian drug lord later to avoid I could see how that could make gaming better for everybody. If everybody could just sell their stuff to drug dealers and stuff, so they can hide their money, and then you get something out of it, of course that makes gaming so much better. How was I ever so blind to the NFTs and the blockchain making gaming better? Of course, remember, EA and Ubisoft, they're the good guys. They're just looking out for us, right? So
I have no idea like why anyone would want to buy an NFT. I can see why people would want to sell one, but do people really think that one day they're gonna get a return on this stuff? Like, I think the mentality is, right, that they'll get a return because Ethereum would be worth more. So like the NFT is tied to a cryptocurrency. So like, say for example, I don't know. Say for example, you buy an NFT today for like 100 Ethereum. Well, 0.0000100 Ethereum or whatever. Maybe one day that Ethereum will be worth like way more money. Maybe and then when they do sell it, then they'll be making a profit. But I'm sitting here thinking, who the hell would even want to buy it in the future when it is profitable? I don't get that part of it. That's the bit that sort of I get lost in. Like, why do people think they'll be able to turn a profit on this stuff? Unless you're selling to a Colombian drug lord, in which case, I can see a future where the US government just sweeps in and bans it all like China's done. Like, China's literally banned all cryptocurrency in the country, as far as I'm aware. So if it does become the thing where most crypto transactions are to do with money laundering, which, some people think that it is already, isn't there a scenario where the EU or the US just go, you know what, let's just ban this now, and then just ban all the legal exchanges? You'll no longer be able to exchange real money for your Ethereum or whatever. Like, what happens in that scenario if like exchanges get banned? I don't know, man. For me, I just think it's a load of bollocks. But I'm sure maybe there's a crypto bro in the chat who can tell us why it isn't bollocks, because right now I think it's a load of bollocks.
Oh, bro, a couple of my friends are big time crypto bros. Trust me.
Well, ask the crypto bros how they intend to make a profit on the NFT pixel dog that they purchased the other day.
Because it basically comes down to imagine if like a gun you got imagine you play Destiny 2, right? And you get a gun drop. But that gun drop is completely unique to you, and it looks different and has different stats. It's like a completely unique gun. Well, that NFT in the blockchain would mean that you own that, and you can prove that this is yours. So then you can then sell that to some other user so you could make money. That's basically it's how it's always been described to me, is like, well, imagine if like whatever you got from in a drop was completely unique and it wasn't just a duplicate. It was just, it has some unique feature that's completely yours, and here's the blockchain and you own it. Now you can sell it. And I was just like, so it's just kind of like an investment that's like I can sell it, and that's, I'm like, okay. I mean, that's always like the argument I get from them, and it's, you know, I don't know.
That's the part that I don't get. Like, why would anyone want to buy that? I think the assumption is that people will buy it because people will buy literally anything.
Exactly.
I think that is literally the assumption, is that there's so many people out there with more money than sense that people will literally buy this. I can totally see a situation where Steam, for example, you know those bullshit Steam trading cards that are just completely useless and pointless right now, which you can trade for real money. I think man, someone said Ethereum's a shitcoin. I am going to ban you, sir. I'm joking. I'm not going to ban you, but Ethereum is not a shitcoin. How dare you? How very dare you? But I don't know. It's just like, I just don't get it. I think, yeah. The assumption is basically that people will buy it because people buy anything. Like, people buy those stupid Steam trading cards. People buy Charizard cards for like thousands and thousands of dollars. People just want to collect things sometimes. Like, even if there's no intrinsic value. Like, say, for example, like, you know, I don't know. Just anything. Like, Pokemon cards are a great example. You know, people like that whole, what's his name? That YouTuber guy who was the boxer as well. Logan Paul, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Jake Paul,
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. What? They're two people on there.
Yes, brothers. Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Jake and Logan Paul. Jake, yeah, whatever. Those dickhead guys. One of them had like a Charizard card necklace, and the Charizard was supposedly worth like $30,000 or something. You know, the only thing that gives that Charizard card value is the perception that it's rare and has value. And the fact that Jake Paul used it also gives it value. So it's like, for example, if it works in the real world, you know, owning a Charizard card that's worth $30,000, if it works in the real world, why wouldn't it work in the digital world? You know? Are you gonna sell your Halo Infinite unique gun round?
Yes, I'm going to sell to the first Colombian drug lord that wants to launder money. I will definitely be that person's, you know, yeah. So, got a couple super chats we need to get to. Hargit Channy says, I think ray tracing will start delivering when there's much more horsepower. Current gen plus 3XS NVIDIA GPUs can't do ray tracing well enough. Maybe the 4s can. And people are here talking about Zuckerberg being an alien. And a lizard. Nathaniel says dystopian future intensifies. Yep, indeed. Tim the Sorcerer says, Rand, you got to be careful with books of Robin Hobb. Because they are crack opposed to the Wheel of Time beers. Greetings from the Netherlands. I've read Robin Hobb's books before. I've read the Farseer trilogy and Live Ship Trader trilogy and the Tawny Man. I haven't read the newer one, the last one, Fits and a Fool. So I'm rereading the whole trilogy, and they are indeed crack, but I mean, Wheel of Time was definitely crack to me. So BC says, hey guys, any news on when the League of Legends Wild Rift is coming to console? And fills the MOBA void and is a really good game. Hope you're both well. Have you heard anything, Jez, about when that game's coming to Xbox?
I have no idea about that. I did see that League of Legends and Fortnite are partnering at the moment. There's that Tencent link at work. But no, I don't know about that, I'm afraid. But it looks all right.
Yeah. Supernova says, does Obsidian share experiences with Bethesda? Why not use the creation engine from Bethesda? Do you think they're sharing stuff back and forth now that they're part of the family?
I would totally expect that if Obsidian had a pitch that needed the creation engine, that they could use it. Obviously, they've got experience with it from Fallout New Vegas, although it's probably quite a different engine these days. Yeah, I mean, could they ever do like a New Vegas full-blown remake? I would love to see that. A New Vegas remake in the fully updated Starfield version of the engine. I would love that. But I haven't heard anything to that end, but I'm sure it could probably maybe will happen at some point.
Yeah.
Obsidian making a Fallout game, that'd be sweet. I actually think Obsidian made the best 3D Fallout game. Personally, I think New Vegas was the best 3D Fallout game. I still think that.
Kiwi Overkill says, "Will a digital game become an NFT?" Meaning the selling of digital games. There you go, Jez. That could be a possibility. The digital game tied to an NFT blockchain and then reselling your digital games, you know?
Well, it's really funny because Microsoft kind of tried to do this in 2013 and everyone was really mad about it. Microsoft were going to give you the ability to sell, basically like refund your digital games and stuff, if I remember right. Well, actually, it was a bit different, I guess.
Yeah,
but
Microsoft was just like a tad bit different, Jez.
Yeah, it's just a tad bit different. But Microsoft were exploring this whole idea of owning a digital license alongside a physical license. So there was kind of that blurring of the line of ownership there when it comes to digital licenses. But I don't think you expressly need the blockchain to do that. Really, because someone could just implement that using a serial thing. The reason that we don't have a used game market for secondhand digital games is because publishers don't want it to happen. They don't want people to buy secondhand games. They don't want it. So I don't think publishers will ever allow that to happen. But what I can see potentially happening is like, for example, Wu-Tang Clan made an album that they only made one copy of.
And I did see that, yeah.
And that farmer bro bought it. The guy that everyone hates. I can't remember his name. Mike Shrikelly or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the Wu-Tang Clan made an album that only had one copy. Now, obviously, anyone can make a digital copy of an album, but there's only one physical copy that exists of that. I can totally see a situation where some like celebrity game dev like makes an NFT, a game maybe there's only exists one copy of it, and to verify access to it, you have to like input your privacy keys or something. I don't know. I can totally see
Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, I bet Hideo Kojima will probably make like some like imagine like PT, basically PT, because PT is like super rare now. There's no way to get it unless you've got a PlayStation that actually has it installed. And people actually sell PlayStations with PT installed on eBay. I've seen it happen. So like, imagine that Hideo Kojima makes like a walking simulator, and there's only one copy of it in the blockchain. That is going to happen eventually, and it's going to be really annoying, but it's going to happen probably.
Tim the Sorcerer says, "Rand, I thought you were new to Hop." No, I've when I was in my book phase back during my teens and my early 20s, I'd read pretty much all of Robin Hobb at that point. But then I got out of reading, and now I'm back into it. I want to read it because I wanted to finish the Fitz, the last trilogy where she concludes the story, and that's what I'm reading now. A Gun's a Gun says, I mean, I know you guys are joking around, but there's a huge scandal on Twitch right now that some of the Turkish streamers are wrapped up in some money laundering scheme connected with cryptocurrencies. So that shit's already happening. So yeah, I mean, figures.
It does happen. It does happen. I know it does. Like, I think I read a study somewhere that was like something like 60% or more of all crypto transactions are to do with illegal stuff, which is like hilarious.
There was some cryptocurrency that popped up based on Squid Game or something, or Squid Game cryptocurrency that ended up being like a scam or something.
Yeah. They call it a rug pull. Basically, like anyone can make a crypto. You can fork.
We make Xbox 2 crypto.
Yeah, we could do an Xbox 2 crypto. Why not? You basically just fork one of the open source cryptos. Like you fork Bitcoin, for example, and then give it a name. Like I don't know, XB2 crypto, and then we hype it up on Twitter, get influencers involved, invest a bit of money, say, oh, this is the next big crypto, guys. This is the next big crypto. Get in early now. We pump it up to a few million, and then we just rug pull, man. Sell it all, take everyone's money, and then run away.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Jez? let's take some questions. I think we hit the end of our regular topics and stuff, so
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for being here on this excellent Friday. It feels good to do the podcast on Friday. I much prefer doing on Friday, so
Yeah, it feels like a Friday thing.
yeah.
Definitely.
We had over 1,200 people here. If you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I know a lot of people always dip out here, but if you guys have any questions, me and Jez will definitely do our best to answer them, and the podcast will be up on podcast services, as soon as possible, I suppose, probably early tomorrow or whatever. Toolman wants to know how tall me and you are, Jez. How tall are you?
I am 5'8", so not very tall.
I am 6'2".
Damn, Rand
So,
Giant.
Yeah, I'm a tall guy. What else we got here? Stodgy Caesar says, like Overwatch 2, do you think Arc 2 is a mistake? That's an interesting one. Do you think Arc 2 is a mistake instead of just building on Arc 1? Or do you think they can get away with it because they aren't really like a service-based game like the other ones were?
I think Arc 2 makes more sense because Arc 1's engine is trash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it really is trash. So like when you've got like a situation with Arc, for example, where you kind of like the only way you can sort of claw back some functionality is to make a whole new engine. I think that makes way more sense than Overwatch, because in Overwatch, they're going to let Overwatch 1 and 2 players play against each other. It's the same engine. There is literally no point in Overwatch 2. There's literally no point. The only point is Activision selling the game at retail, profiting from the brand, making a bit of cash. That is the only point. And, if you notice, Activision games rarely go on sale. Like, Call of Duty rarely goes on sale. Because they're greedy ass bitches, and they don't want to sacrifice their retail model. So yeah, I think Arc makes more sense, but Overwatch is just dumb.
Yeah, Overwatch is dumb. Eternal Umbra says, what does the Sega Alliance mean for Xbox and Game Pass? Well, we kind of answered that question when Jez was talking about it, but I guess really quickly, Jez, what does the deal mean for Xbox and Game Pass?
It means that they get closer politically. Xbox will get preferential treatment and first dibs on Game Pass exclusives. We've seen Total War Warhammer come into Game Pass day one. I don't think that would have happened without this deal. It just sort of solidifies the work they've been doing to grow their relationship in recent years. Yakuza hitting Game Pass, 2 Point Hospital hitting Game Pass, all that kind of stuff. And it also gives Sega preferential treatment on access to Azure servers. Because supposedly Sega's building something they call Super Game. No idea what that is. But, and they've also talked about reviving IPs that have sort of, been on hold or dead, kind of. Maybe this means that Sega gets to partner up with Microsoft more, like with Age of Empires, like Sega's Relic Studio. It's just like pervasive partnership, basically. Yeah. We talked about it more in depth at the start, so if you want more detail, go back and take a listen.
Safe Space Invader says, does 48-inch OLED make a good monitor? Well, I mean, I don't know because I don't have one, but the people I do know that have it as a monitor say it's a pretty good one. So
it depends how close you sit into it, really.
Yeah. Adam says, Rand, did you not see my super chat? I did not. Just send me a mess, or just add me here and on the thing and just put it here again, and I will read it. I must have missed it. Blue Moon says, have you decided on your YouTube channel yet? YouTube channel name yet, Jez? What about the Black Country Bangers?
No, I haven't yet. I'm still thinking about it. Like, I really suck at coming up with names really badly. So I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Any ideas for me, Rand?
No. Jez Corden's Mayo Emporium. Something like that. Lydia says, next week is the 20th anniversary. Any plans to celebrate? A special video or a cake or something? I'll probably make a video going over everything they announced. maybe I'll even stream the event. I'm not really sure yet. Maybe I'll have a video talking about 20 years of Xbox and what it means to me. Haven't really decided. It is the 15th, so we got some time yet. But I'm sure I'll make some videos regarding the 20th anniversary and stuff. Yeah. Arigato Sir says, my dream is the 20th anniversary stream is that they bring back the Xbox 360 controller for Series X for limited time. So he wants the 360 controller to be able to be used on the Xbox Series X. I know you can kind of recreate one in the... I saw James Shields actually make one in the... what is it? What are the... I forget the name of the website that you can go to make your own controller, Jez. What is it? Xbox Design Lab. There we go. Xbox Design Lab. Let's see here. What else? Thanaros wants to know how long the Sega and Xbox deal has been going on. Well, I mean, it was announced on Monday. You would assume since Monday, but maybe earlier. I don't know. Jez, do you think it started when that deal was signed? I mean, I would imagine they announced it as soon as it was official, right?
Collaborating pretty closely already, like in a sort of, I don't know, unofficial capacity, but I think officially, like when it comes, I think they just wanted to officialize what they've already been doing. Because I suppose, like when people saw that Total War Warhammer was coming straight into Xbox Game Pass, and they're announcing that early on too, which is really strange because you think that they'd gone for the pre-order sales first. I suppose like solidifying that sort of it keeps our expectations in line to some degree. We're sort of like, you know, we're gonna get more of this stuff. I just want to get a good Sonic game. I don't like Sonic Mania. Like, no, I'm not talking about 3D Sonic.
Okay.
3D Sonic shouldn't exist, frankly. I know that some people don't like that, but I don't believe 3D Sonic should be a thing ever under any circumstance. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Straight Duval says, whatever happened to FPS boost? I would imagine that's one of the things that probably be announced on the 20th anniversary. Some older legacy titles getting FPS boost. I can imagine that being a thing. So maybe that's something that they do announce. Craig Jackson wants to know if I'll think Returnal will win Game of the Year. I mean, I think it'll be nominated, and there's a chance it could win. I guess it really depends on what games are nominated and how people strongly feel about. I think Returnal has a better chance of winning Game of the Year than Ratchet, to be honest. If I were choosing, I don't know. For some reason, I kind of feel like this year it comes down to like Psychonauts 2 and Returnal. I don't know. Like those are the two games I look at and are like, even though Deathloop also reviewed well, I kind of feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Psychonauts 2, it has that like love from reviewers in a way that people don't have. I guess it's really tough for me to describe, but I feel like people love Double Fine and Tim Schafer, and they love Psychonauts 2, and the fact that it came out as well as it did and was as good as it was, and was a recent release is really going to help. And Returnal just seemed to have more buzz behind it and more longevity than Ratchet. So I think it's sort of between both of those, to be honest with you, if I had to guess. That's kind of what I feel. Lord of the Empire's Death Singer says, will we see Avowed soon? Also a 2022 release. And he's a massive Pillars and Obsidian fan.
Right, so
okay,
that's one of the things that was in the Nvidia leak that I thought wasn't true.
Avowed coming next year, right?
Yeah, so like the Nvidia GeForce leak suggested that Avowed might come next year, but I've heard definitively that Avowed is targeting 2023. So no, I don't think you'll see it next year. But I mean, I don't think you'll see it launch next year, but I do think you'll see it at E3 because it is in a playable state and it looks pretty damn good.
So we could see it at the VGAs, but they'll definitely see it by E3 next year. And I agree with Jez. I think it's a 2023 title. I think at some point, I think it might have been targeting 2022, but I think it's it's been moved to 2023. Anakin wants to know, when is Tunic coming out? Probably next year at this point. I can imagine it launching between now and January. Face says, do we think 2022 will be the best year in gaming with all the games coming out next year? There are a lot of games coming out next year. You got Starfield, Redfall, God of War, and Horizon Forbidden West. I mean,
don't forget the new Pokemon.
Yeah, and I'm sure Nintendo's going to have some stuff. Possibly the new Breath of the Wild game.
Looking forward to the new Pokemon?
Forza Motorsport probably come out. Gran Turismo will be out.
What do you think of Pokemon, Rand?
What's the name of it? Pokemon Icarus or something? or Turris or something
Icarus?
Like that? I don't know.
Pokemon Arceus. God.
Yeah. It's probably going to be a damn good year. A lot of games that were supposed to come out this year ended up getting delayed to early next year, and yeah, so next year should be pretty good, I think. I don't know if it'll be the best ever, but it will definitely be a pretty damn good year. Solid Kleenex wants to know, hey, Rand Jez, with the Sega Microsoft deal, are we finally going to get Persona and older titles as day one for future titles? That's the thing people want to know. Like, we talk about the Sega deal actually meaning something, but then there's always that Persona game, right? So
yeah, it's I talked about it earlier about Persona because that's the thing everyone always asks. It's political ultimately. Like they've got to build a relationship with Atlas as a devolved studio, and like the deal with Sega helps Microsoft get a foot in the door with Atlas, I would say. If Atlas wants to build, I don't know, some kind of cloud-based game, or they want to get a discount on Havoc or Simply Gone or one of the other Azure technologies, it helps build that relationship, right? That Microsoft has just never had with Atlas. So you would have to hope that it would lead to that, but ultimately we don't know at the moment.
Yeah, Armin's Tech Talk says, Rand, why does Xbox always make a big deal about not charging people twice for a game when they do if you buy physical or want it on Steam? Sony is only on Steam, so Microsoft is comparing apples to oranges. Well, I think it's because if you buy a digital game from Xbox and it's first party, like Forza Horizon 5, you get the PC version you get the Windows 10 version for free. And you also can basically stream that version wherever you want as well. Where if you buy a digital version of a PlayStation game, you don't get the PC version. You have to... I get the Steam comparison, but don't forget Xbox is giving you a free PC version, even if it's not the one on Steam. So, right?
This is a weird question because it basically boils down to I hate the fact that I have games that are on Steam and I don't want to use the Microsoft Store. Like, I mean, you're getting a free version of the PC version, whether it's on Steam or not. So it's still a PC version.
Yeah. Hargett says, I think Horizon Forbidden West was supposed to release on PS4, PS5 this September and got delayed. PC release was going to be 1 year later, September 22nd, so PC in February of 2022. Certainly possible. I think originally Horizon was probably supposed to release in the first half of the year, and then they were probably aiming for September, and then it got delayed. So it's certainly possible that the September release is basically a year later, and that if it's launching February of next year, maybe it launches on PC February of 2023. I mean, time will tell. We'll eventually find out. But people weren't saying 1 year. People were saying 2 to 3 years, and I don't think it's going to be a 2 to 3 year wait. It's definitely going to be way shorter. Death Singer also says, are there more than just Forza, Starfield, Redfield releasing next year from Xbox? Yes or no, if cannot say.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you mentioned you think Josh Sawyer's game's releasing next year, right?
Yeah, well, Jeff Grubb said that. Jeff Grubb said Pentiment will launch next year.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, there's other stuff too.
Yeah, and then there's Project Belfry is supposed to be next year, right?
Yeah, I think Belfry's next year.
I mean, I guess if you're asking from Xbox or Bethesda, I don't know if anybody else is ready yet. So, but But there definitely will be other games, yeah. Jack wants to know, what do we think about multiplayer designer Patrick Wren announcing his departure from 343 today? Well, 343 he's probably finished with the game, and he probably got an offer to go somewhere else he wanted to do. I mean, people leave the industry, people leave studios all the time to go to different other studios. It's just what is kind of what happens.
Yeah, it's a project driven industry. So like, just because like someone's leaving the studio, it doesn't mean that it's because 343 is doing bad or something. It just means that the project's over, and now that their contract's up, they're moving on to something else. It's a profit. People freak out a lot about studio people leaving and stuff, but it's really not like other industries where people stay in the same place the whole time. It's a very sort of, it's got a high turnover because, say for example, I don't know, I spend like this amount of years working on shooters or something, and then maybe I want to go and work on a racing game next or something like that. But the studio I'm at doesn't work on those kind of games. Or maybe I want to, work on my dream game. Or maybe I want to be promoted and be a project manager instead of, just doing visual effects or something. So it's a very high turnover industry, and I think people freak out too much when people move around. It's just the way it is. It's literally just the way it is.
Yeah, Negative Latency says, off topic, when Microsoft ditches Xbox Live, what will their justification be for Game Pass Ultimate tier? Nobody on console cares about having it on PC.
Well, we're already seeing them try to add value, like adding early access to games. There'll be there'll be Battle Pass tiers probably. Like if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, you'll have like I don't know, a premium track in the Battle Pass, stuff like that. There's a lot they can do to add value. And I do think there is a future where they add a cloud-only subscription as well, but I don't know. They'll add value. They'll figure out a way around it. I definitely don't pay for Game Pass Ultimate just because I want Xbox Live. It's like a full package deal, right?
Yeah. Paul says, could Avowed and Hellblade 2 be the big Xbox games for 2023? I think both those games are coming in 2023, but I don't think it's just those games. I think there's more as well, but I think both those games are 2023, yes. I think 2023 will also be the first year where they actually hit their big game a quarter mandate that they've set for themselves. Yeah, Mark Hoyt says, why didn't Jez mention Xbox 2 and Rand on Podcast Unlocked? Huh? He didn't? Wow. What a friend. I mentioned him on Defining Duke. I was like, hey, Xbox 2 and my buddy Jez Corden,
Wow. I don't know.
Wow.
If I didn't, it's not on purpose.
Wow. I feel horrible now.
Oh well. You'll get over it.
Let's see what else we got here. Looking for more.
I think it's because I was there with Miles, and it was more of a Windows Central thing. I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. They didn't. They introduced us as being part of Windows Central, right? So.
Yeah.
I just thought it was that way.
Sash says, prediction: how many games will Xbox show at the Game Awards? Interesting. At least one, possibly two, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get one or two, but who knows? Maybe they've got more. Maybe
three. Who knows?
Maybe they're just like, you know what? Jez and Jeff leaked everything, so let's just show everything.
Yeah, let's just
screw it.
Put everything out there, right? Let's just leak everything. I would like that. Leak everything, Jez.
Man, why is Take-Two's stock price just slid 3%?
I don't know. Cookie wants to know, could Ubisoft Plus come to Game Pass for a higher cost? I mean, yeah, didn't Nick say Ubisoft Plus was supposed to come to Game Pass this holiday, Jez? I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I know there was discussions, but I mean, I don't know if maybe it'll happen sometime next year. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they're waiting to implement the blockchain before they start that.
Yeah, the blockchain. A Guns says, it's for both of you. Which mode do you guys use on Forza Horizon 5? Quality or performance? I tried performance, but Horizon's 30 frames is pretty smooth and looks so good. Jazz, which one are you using?
I started on quality because I just wanted to see like the sheer, the full force of it to start with. But then I was like, man, I'm just so used to 60 now. I can't do it. So I ended up going to performance mode. And I know you use performance mode.
I tried it out a little bit. I was using quality mode and I just couldn't stand the motion blur. So I went to performance, and that's where I've been playing since. 60 frames, no motion blur, at least not as much motion blur as there were in 30 frames. I don't know. But I'm pretty much performance mode all the time in any game. You know, I need those frames. I need those frames.
There's a rumor that Take-Two are looking to buy the FIFA brand since EA is dropping it.
Oh yeah, like they wanted. Yeah, I had heard that. Though I think they wanted double. Like the FIFA wanted double from EA, and EA is like, hell no. Yeah. So what? It went drop because Take-Two wants to get the license.
Yeah, but FIFA still licenses all the likenesses. So that is so weird. Like, why bother licensing the brand FIFA without the likenesses? I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here.
It's so damn greedy. Like, can you imagine for a minute a corporate meeting between FIFA and EA? Can you imagine a bigger hive of scum and villainy?
A bigger hive of scum and villainy. I cannot. Clarence Boddicker wants to know: is the collab with the Duke lads still happening?
Oh yeah, we were both gonna go and Defining Duke, right? Was that a thing?
I mean, I think so, but I don't know if that's been announced. So I don't know if that's.
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know. Tell the Defining Duke guys to reach out and we'll.
Yeah, tell Cognito and Mr. Matty Plays that you want me and Jez at the same time on Defining Duke, and maybe we'll make that happen. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the questions I've seen, and that's it for the podcast. So it felt good to be back after a week on a Friday. So. Really enjoyed the show. Thank you guys for being here. All your support, super chats, just people hanging out in the chat, having a good time. Even if you're just lurking, I know a lot of people lurk, and I lurk as well. We appreciate you as much as anybody else. We just like it if people watch and enjoy the show, and that's all that really matters to me and Jez. And also, if you know somebody who needs some trimming for the holidays. Manscaped code XB2 and makes a good holiday gift. I guess next week it'll be my turn to do the ad read for Manscaped. I don't know what I'm gonna say, but anyways, guys,
I gotta give you a copy, man. I gotta give you a copy. There's all suggestions what you can say around. Don't you worry. We'll get you sorted out. If you guys want to support us and stuff. The code XB2 at manscaped.com. They genuinely do make good products. I would not recommend something that sucked. They got like all sorts of stuff now, like boxer shorts, trimmers, nose trimmer, liquid stuff, all kinds of stuff. And also razors for the bearded gentleman among us. And I'm going to try one of those out.
Jeff, I listen to your show, Jeff, every single week, and I'm always lurking. I lurk, bro. I don't ever say anything. I'm always just lurking. I'm like, what's Jeff going to say now? Apparently, somebody said that you just said Shadowrun is coming back somewhere. Is that true, Jeff? Is Shadowrun really coming back? Is this true?
Jeff seriously got like... Do me and Jeff just like have the same...
I don't know. Like, Jeff's in the chat, right? And then I saw somebody I saw somebody say, Grub just said Shadowrun's coming back on Twitter or something. And... So Jeff's here, and I'm just like, all right, Jeff, like, you're here. Is Shadowrun really coming back? Jez, you need to find out. So you can tell the project. You can say the project name, and then Jeff can find out the info.
Well, I was it Jeff who told me that? Someone told me that as well about Shadowrun. So, and I think, off the top of my head, I think it might have been Jeff when I was asking him about a different project name. Because me and Jeff do talk sometimes. We talk about our body care routine. You know, we talk about hair products, that kind of thing. I was asking, I was just talking to Jeff. I was saying, how do you make your hair so luscious? And Jeff was like, I use a combination of a moisturizing conditioner and also Timote. And he told me that he pops up a mountain, flicks his hair in the water, and swishes his hair around like the commercials, And then he was just like, you know what, Shadowrun's coming back. So yeah.
Well, this was at the end of the show, so maybe nobody will clip that, and there won't be an article being Jez Corden and Jeff Grubb co-confirm that Shadowrun is coming back.
I think that was all Jeff. I'm pretty sure Jeff was the one who told me that. I mean, oh man, I don't know. Was I supposed to say that, Jeff? Did you actually say that on Twitter? I hope someone just didn't just trick a leak out of us or something.
Someone
just like sneakily tricked us to leak something.
Hey, the Xbox 2 has Manscaped, and Jeff Grubb's Game Mess has Arby's. All's right with the world, Jez.
Oh wow. You're really sponsored by Arby's? That's a big deal.
Dude, Arby's gave him like a whole outfit and like a hat and stuff. Did you not see that stuff? It was amazing. Did you not see that?
Oh no, I did not see that, no. But do you know who gave me some merch?
Who?
Flex Seal.
Flex Seal? They make like
Flex Seal. Because I keep leaking everything. They make seals.
Did they literally give you stuff?
Yeah, they did. My boss has got it in America though. Like he's got to post to me. But yeah, Flex. We might be sponsored by Flex Seal to try and control the leaks. Flex Seal makes seals for plumbing things, I think. Oh man, that is some funny shit. But I you know what I want to do? I want to have a contest with Jeff and see which podcast can get the most ridiculous sponsors.
See, cool. Jeff said he said it in his podcast, but he also said he wasn't sure. See, but you can't say that, Jeff. They're only going to say that you said it in your podcast, and they're not going to mention that you weren't sure. So they're going to say, Jeff Grubb says Shadowrun's coming back, 100% confirmed. It's launching on May 15th, 2024. It's by this developer, and they're not going to put in the part where you said you weren't sure if it was actually happening. Right. That's how this stuff works.
I don't know jack about Shadowrun. What even is it? It's an RPG, right?
Well, it depends. Like, yeah, but I mean, shit, they brought it back as a first-person shooter during the 360 era, and it didn't do very well. So
interesting.
Clarence says, "Lads, didn't you say you were doing the anniversary stream with the Duke lads?" I don't remember saying that, but there might be a good chance we are. I'm not sure. That's Mr. Maddie and Lord Cognito's realm. I don't know. If I get invited, I will definitely be there. So, well, enough of that. Shadowrun coming back. I guess that'll be the end of the show this time, unless you want to leak another game, Jez.
No, I'm all leaked out.
No, you literally told me the other day you have 4 new code names.
Didn't I?
Yeah, you literally DM me like, bro. And I'm like, what? And you're like, I got 4 new code names. I'm like, really? And you wouldn't tell me what they were, so you haven't told me. I'll ask you after the podcast is over what these 4 new code names are. So,
okay, I'm drowning in code names, man. I got some more as well this week, actually.
See, exactly. So you know more,
but I don't know what they're attached to. Is the problem?
Well, that's why you should tell Jeff, and then he'll tell you what they're attached to. Kind of, work hand in hand, right? Like, could you guys ever do like a co-leak thing where like Windows Central presents Venture Beats, Games Beats, Jeff Grubb, Jez Corden, in a co-leak article where like you write the first paragraph and then Jeff writes the second, you write the third?
Like a collab, like those YouTube collabs, but in blog form.
Yeah.
Man, maybe me and Jeff can be like pioneers or some shit. I don't know. Oh man, what a show! This was a long one.
Yeah, that's what happens when we miss a week. So we will be back next week, hopefully on a Friday, and hopefully we'll have a lot of new stuff to talk about. So until then, guys, have fun and keep it gaming. Later.
Take care, everybody.